Coach Drew and Baylor complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter? He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll alongside J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims. J.D., I have declared I am staying in Waco this summer.
Hey,
I'm going to be in Waco through
it is.
2022, 2023. Hell, I might be in Waco through 2024. What say you?
Get a doctorate, get a PhD, settle down, get some roots down here. You send your kids to China Spring.
You figure you're gonna stay in Waco, right?
I'm staying in Waco, bro. I'm not freaking leaving.
Armstrong, I'm going to be in Waco the next 365 days. I'm getting a big old nasty thumbs up from Armstrong Sims. Well, I'll tell you what.
Disgusting thumbs up. Two of them.
Queen Egbo, Nalissa Smith, and Caitlin Bickle will all also be staying in Waco the next 365 days alongside their new head coach, Nicki Collen, at the helm of Baylor women's basketball going into next season. They made a hire. They did the thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got her.
We got her.
I thought we had it all together. Y'all seen that? So hard to find. How about it, though, huh?
Nicki Collen, the new head coach of Baylor University.
It dropped.
We talked about it. So I went back and watched yesterday's show because we had our 5 candidates that we were really honing in on, and Nicki Collen was one of them. She was on that list of 5. She wasn't the best odds that we predicted yesterday, but also she was on the near the top of that list. We had the conversation, and yesterday we mentioned how Nicki Collen, off the bat, is a hire that jumps out because she's moving from pro ball. She is a pro. She is a pro that is now taking it to the collegiate game again as the head coach of Baylor.
Dude, I am eating my words today because you came on here and said Nicki Collen's in the conversation. I said, Nicki who? One, I've never heard of her. I don't think she was at most of the discussions on the forefront of the forum. How's that for alliteration? The forefront of the forum. But, dude, I am very surprised they went with Nicki Collen. I mean, in typical Mac Rhodes fashion, hired somebody that was sort of off the radar, wasn't really in the discussion that much, unless you're watching Up Tempo. But, I mean, you scour the internet for names that are potential hires. Nicki Collen wasn't really on a lot of lists. So I am shocked, surprised, and it just confirms that Mac Rhodes knows a lot more than me about women's college basketball.
As of 15 minutes ago, Nicki Collen and her family arrived in Waco, Texas. You can see her getting off the plane with her husband. Mac Rhodes is also there with them. Mac Rhodes is not her husband. The way that I said that could have been kind of confusing. But they are in Waco. Introductory press conference from Nicki Collen will take place tomorrow at 2:30 in the Farrell Center. And to my understanding, it will be open to some of the general public. We've got a couple of these calls we're going to get to here in a second. We're going to give some of our opening opinions on Nicki Collen and the hire. 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year. She took over a program that went 12-22 in her first season. She was WNBA Coach of the Year, which is huge. Huge. Takes her team all the way to the semifinals. She coached Kalani Brown, Odyssey Sims. We'll talk to them in the next couple of days. But she's got the pedigree. Now she brings it to Baylor. She's been in the collegiate game at schools like Florida Gulf Coast, Arkansas, Colorado State. Nicki Collen has the resume to have success at Baylor.
I'm not going to lie to you. I had to do a lot of homework on Nicki Collen because when this hire was made, I knew next to nothing about Nicki Collen. And upon further review, I am a little bit surprised. I'm continually surprised about Nicki Collen being the hire for Baylor for a couple of reasons. Like I said, I have unwavering faith in Mack Rhoades. He has made A-plus hires across the board. That includes David Randall. I think he'll be great in these next 2 seasons, but that's not the point. Nicki Collen has never been a collegiate head coach. She's been an assistant at a myriad of places, but never a head coach at the college level. Baylor will be a bigger stage for her than the Atlanta Dream was. The Atlanta Dream had like 4,000 people at games pre-COVID. Like, this will be a bigger deal. This will be the biggest stage she's ever been on from a coaching perspective. I think there will be a learning curve there, but we won't really have to put too much pressure on her until year 2 or 3. She's going to have a bunch of stable of horses for her for this first year, and she has to make sure this thing stays the right direction. But I'm shocked. I'm excited, and I think there is a lot of potential, and I think it's also in a lot of ways a lot of risk because she's never been a head coach before.
Potential. We've got
in college, that is. In college.
You got Steve Rodriguez, who just put out a picture of Nicki Collen. Her picture is now on the Baylor ballpark video board. All of Waco is excited today to welcome Nicki Collen home to Baylor. She's now a part of the Baylor family. We're breaking it down. I think you're right. I think that part of this hire is the fact that she has not been a head coach in the women's game yet, and so there are still questions. This isn't someone who's necessarily established in the collegiate game. You hire Muffet McGraw, you know what you're getting. You've seen her be a head coach in the college game, but you haven't yet with Nicki Collen seen what she can do as a collegiate head coach, but she's got WNBA experience. You can tell in the years that she spent in college that she wants to be a college coach. That's where her niche is. She was a great recruiter. She was at Louisville. She was at Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast, had a historic season at Florida Gulf Coast as well. She's got the pedigree to coach in the collegiate game, and this is a hire that this doesn't come necessarily out of nowhere.
Right.
Yes, it's a little bit out of left field, but she was on a lot of top 5 lists. It's not like we haven't heard of Nicki Collen. This didn't come from, Northwestern Grandview State, where their third assistant off the bench has been hired at Baylor, and they come in and win a national championship. Nicki Collen's going to have success next season with a senior core returning, with a great transfer from Alabama that will likely stay in Waco, Jordan Lewis. And I have full confidence that Nicki Collen will have a successful career the next couple of years at Baylor. But what does that look like? What does she have to do? What are those boxes that Nicki Collen has to check and check now?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. The expectation is you have to have a good, there is no lead-in time for Nicki Collen. There is no period of grace for her if they don't perform next season. Like, Baylor should win the Big 12 next year, the year after, and the year after that. Baylor should be in the Sweet 16 Elite 8 conversation every single year. She has the firepower, she has the brand, she has the resources to be able to do that. So for Coach Collen, it's going to be a lot of pressure right off the bat. So I don't know that you give her a lot of grace. I think in terms of success, I want to see Elite 8 definitely in year 3. Like year 3 needs to be Elite 8, maybe Final 4. Otherwise, we have to reevaluate some of these approaches we're having from the women's basketball arena.
I do think it's big that those players are staying. Those seniors are staying. The fact that those 3 are going to keep it in Waco, and Jordan Lewis will likely keep it in Waco, says a lot about the Collen hire, that they have faith in someone that's coming from the professional game. She is a professional basketball head coach that's going to be in Waco. So somebody tweeted that the other day, like, hey, listen, Kim Mulkey's one of the very best in the college game. Nicki Collen has been the best coach in the professional game within the last 3 seasons. So you're going out and getting a solid professional, and that is a step up. She knows what it's like to coach the elite of the elite, far better players than you find in the college game, and at a high level in Atlanta. I'm confident at least in that.
So she was coach of the year her first year, if I'm not mistaken, but her entire time with the Dream, I think she was something like 38-52. 38-52. As a head coach at the professional level, she doesn't even have a winning record. So I'm sitting here saying, you want to win more than you lose typically. Is that something that's concerning for you right off the bat? Because I feel like you have a better understanding of the women's game as a whole. So tell me, is that concerning you before? I mean, obviously 75%, I think, is her record as an assistant in terms of winning percentage. At the professional level, not necessarily a winner proven as at the head coach. Head coach of the year, but her record leaves some to be desired. How concerning is that for you at this point in time with this hire?
Matt Rule finished his Baylor career with more losses than wins. And I know that's not that it's not the same thing as Nicki Collen. However, I don't think you can take the career record in the WNBA and say, oh, she's not a good coach because she has a losing record.
Right.
She did win in year one and had a bit of a downtrend in the next couple of years. But look at COVID, and I know we keep making that excuse, but you got to remember, COVID was much different on the professional level than it was college. College players don't really have a voice for themselves as much as professional players do. You're getting paid to play basketball on the pro levels. So if you say, I'm not playing, there's a pandemic going on.
Right.
Well, bada bing, bada boom, you're not playing. You know, you got a lot more voice, and there were a lot of players that opted out. And then injury really plagued her in year number 2. But the fact that she went into year 1, turned a 2-12 program into 22-12 or 23-11 and 23-11, and won Coach of the Year, that says a lot. Went to the WNBA semifinals her first year as a head coach, so she can win and win right away. Now the question becomes, do you hire Molly Miller as her assistant?
Is Molly Miller even on Macro's radar?
Molly, if you're listening,
is she?
Molly, if you're out there and you're listening to this show today, call us.
A lot of Twitter follows from her for a lot of Baylor personnel.
She keeps following people on Twitter, man.
I'm just saying.
She keeps following
where
people
there's smoke, there's fire. But I mean, I'd be surprised if that were the case. I think they'll probably leave it to Colin to say, hey, who do you want? Who do you want to keep? Well, here's what you need to fill. I'm hoping Brock and Messer both stay around. I think that was what I understood that was going to be the case. I think they were going to stick around depending on the next coach. They didn't go to LSU, so I'm assuming they were going with the next head coach, whoever that would be. But man, Colin, I think it's going to be interesting because, like you said, so many question marks. 75% winning percentage as an assistant. And then you're like, hey, she's been around 8 or 9 seasons in the college game. Why was she never a head coach in the college game? Well, upon further review, she was traveling with her husband, who was the head coach, and she was usually his assistant. So that makes more sense. But yeah, I think this is going to be the biggest stage for her that she's ever been on in her career. And so I'm really excited to see how she handles it. And I think if you're going to end up on a big stage with a blue blood, Baylor's the perfect place to do it because this fan base loves women's basketball and they're going to embrace her with open arms.
Boom. Where there is smoke, there is Paul Catalina, David Smoak, and Craig Smoak, 3 to 6 on SicEm365 Radio. We got calls coming in right now. A couple of these calls we're going to go ahead and get to. Philip, I saw you got in the queue really early. There's some connectivity issues, but I got you in here now. What's going on, Philip?
What's up, guys? Pretty excited.
Yeah, you know, new women's basketball coach, and no matter who this hire was, there was going to be excitement around it. But the fact that she's a WNBA Coach of the Year and that she brings that pedigree to Baylor is solid. I've got confidence that Mac made the right decision because I know Mac did a lot of research on this one.
Oh yeah, and I'm actually curious, and y'all guys touched on it about Coach Brock and Coach Messer. I'm really curious about the staff that she's going to hire. I think that's going to be really important for her to be successful, and it helps that Melissa Smith and a lot. It seems like I think Hannah's the only one that left from what I can see. I think that's going to help her a lot because she's not really going to have to rebuild anything. So I think it's going to be really important that she hires like Matt Rule did, hire some Texas coaches that have some roots here, so that she doesn't lose ground on. To University of Texas because they're going to be hammering the state with Kim gone. So I'm hoping she does that.
She'll have a lot of firepower behind her with the Baylor brand. I think we're not giving enough credit to how much weight women's basketball at Baylor University has. It's like saying, hey, you want to come play for me at Duke if you're Coach K.
Oh yeah, of course. So and that'll help, but I'm just hoping. I saw somebody tweeting with Smoak. I don't know if it was Smokey or who, but I guess she was a former player last night, just dogging it that she has no ties to Texas, and I just disagree with that. I mean, it's just so Baylor's a brand now.
Yes.
It's not like it was back in the day. You go into a women's basketball high school recruit, they know who Baylor is. They watch Baylor. We're on ESPN all the time. So I just think the staff's going to be really important, especially like you guys touched on. She doesn't really have a lot of head coaching college experience. It's a different grind than professionals because you're working year round. You got to go get your players. You don't have a GM drafting for you. So I hope she gets a good solid staff behind her. I hope Brock and Messer stay. That would be huge, and I think people underestimate that. That would be huge for her.
Brock and Messer are the key. Certainly Brock and Messer are key to her winning and having national championship caliber success next year, is having one of those that have known the program for a decade in-house or more. Philip, Bear Games question for today. Rotten Tomatoes ask 1 to 100%. What are you rating this hire?
Ooh. Right now I'll give it a 75. I think I'm big on staff. I want to see who she hires as assistants before I give my huge vote of confidence with it.
Along with it, with this roster coming back, Philip, what does she need to do in year one to gain the confidence of the entire fan base as a whole?
I think she got to get to a Sweet 16. You got to win the Big 12.
Yep.
And I think you still got to make a Sweet 16.
I think Elite 8.
Minimum.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Thanks for your call there, Philip.
We're kind of greedy, aren't we?
Guys.
Thanks, Philip. We're kind of greedy, huh? We want Elite 8. But that feels realistic.
It
you
feels
have so much
very
coming
realistic.
back. You have the number one player in the country.
This is Baylor.
This is Baylor, your number one player in the
standard you should have.
So much coming back. You should probably make the Elite 8.
This is where we should have been with men's basketball. Remember when you were saying, like, why aren't we, like, demanding a Final Four?
Yeah.
Why aren't Baylor fans so confident? There is that confidence in women's basketball.
Totally.
There's that chest pumped out pride in women's basketball. I got Steven from Virginia, Bill in Austin, G-Dub, and then Don on the phone lines. We got Steven right now. Steven, what's going on? New women's basketball coach in town.
I'm really excited about that. And I know y'all are some broadcasters. We got to get you out here to cover some Montreal Expos games because your boy went 1 for 2 with a game-tying double in the bottom of the 7th last night and then stole third base. And I would have loved y'all to see it.
Wow.
Is there footage of this? I would love to. I'd love to see this.
So, and I know how great at broadcasters y'all are. That would probably step our league up a little bit. But I'm here to ease your concerns because I love this hire. Absolutely love. For a few reasons. Number one,
the L word.
Going and getting a pro coach is flexing serious muscle. And even if her record isn't a winning record, Nick Saban doesn't have a winning record in the pros. Bobby Petrino was awful in the pros. Now, I know Bobby Petrino had his other issues, but Arkansas was winning when Bobby Petrino, like before Bobby Petrino took the girl on the motorcycle.
True.
They were winning football games.
That was bad.
So,
what are you going to do?
So, when you go and get a pro coach, that's a big deal, especially one that has been a coach of the year, especially one that has been a top assistant on somebody else's staff in college. And, like, it's not just someone where they're, like most assistants are friends and friendly and working relationships. They're going home together. They're talking about the game. They're talking about everything probably all the time when they're at home. So, like, I think, and she won in Atlanta. So to go and get a pro coach with this kind of experience, she's been an assistant with players drafted in the WNBA. She's coached in the WNBA and won. And she's coming here. I don't think you could have made a better hire unless you got Gino. And that's just my 100% opinion.
Okay.
This is something that Baylor in my childhood would never do. Go get a professional coach to coach its college team. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And this is a place that is going to win. And I'm absolutely stoked about this hire. I know there was a lot of love for Molly Miller. I'm sorry, Drake. This probably needs a little bit more seasoning before she gets here. And to go and get a pro coach, that's a win right away kind of move to me. The only thing that would have signaled to me that they were more interested in winning right away is to keep Bill Brock as the head coach.
Steven, do you worry about her as a recruiter?
Not particularly, because she has recruited. I mean, I'm sure when those players who went to her school that left and went to the WNBA, I'm sure she had a hand in the recruiting. And, without giving away premium content, the signals are, people do think Brock would like to stay on for a little while. And I know I would love for Ms. Messer to stay as well, because, at the end of the day, I think a lot of coaches who would be assistants at Baylor would understand that being an assistant coach at Baylor pays more than being a head coach at some places. And so this is definitely a great place for them, and this is definitely a place that loves them. So if she kept Bill Brock and Coach Messer, then I would be 100% not worried about any recruiting.
Steven, Rotten Tomatoes, 1 to 100. What do you rate the hire?
I don't know if Rotten Tomatoes has ever scored a movie a 100, but I'm here with a 100 on this. I really could not be more excited about this hire.
I think Paddington 2 is a 100. I'm pretty sure Paddington 2 is a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Well, this is better than Paddington 2. Sorry.
It is better than Paddington 2. And then last question, what does she need to do in year one? What is that cursor in year one she's got to hit? Say it.
So the first year, it has to be the year that she's really good. This is a team that still has top 10 talent on it. The first year, she has to be winning the Big 12 and in the Elite Eight. And then over the next 2 or 3 years, it has to continue to be a program that does not finish lower than second or third in the Big 12 in the regular season and, is constantly going to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. If they're she could do it for 2 or 3 years, but then in year 4 she gets killed in the first round or something like that, then all of a sudden we have a problem. You got to be able to sustain this.
Nicki Collen gets killed. We got bigger problems.
Yeah, we got a lot.
We got a lot of problems. Steven, thanks for your call, man. Good to get your thoughts today.
Later, guys.
See you, Steve.
Let me say this before, and I want to get to your point. Then we're going to hit Bill and Austin.
This is not a crucial point.
For those of you that are out there that are like, "Hi, man, you're setting an unrealistic precedent right now. You're asking this lady to come in here, Baylor, and win national championship year 1. You're asking her a lot, and there's a lot of pressure put on her." She asked for it.
Yeah.
When you step into that seat at Baylor, that's what's going to deter a lot of coaches. A lot of coaches didn't want that year 1 pressure of needing to win at a high level. She needs to win 25 games year 1 at Baylor. And it's like, hey, why don't say that about her?
Yeah.
Just her first season. It doesn't matter. That's what has been built here at Baylor. Yeah. That you are expected with the roster coming back. It's not like she's reloading. She's expected to win year 1, and I'm with you. How can she recruit? I think year 1 she has to land a couple of 4 or 5 stars.
That's a phenomenal point. And I would say Kermit the Frog. It comes with the territory, just you said.
I'm not Kermit the Frog. I'm
Kermit from Arkansas.
I'm Jim from Boonville, Arkansas.
I love it. I was going to say there's been 9 movies that are 100% Rotten Tomatoes. That's a little bit far down the rabbit hole now, but Mary Poppins, Toy Story 2,
Gino Auriemma,
Terminator,
Kim Mulkey, Muppet McGraw, Pat Summitt.
Actually, yeah.
Paddington 2 very deserving though.
I don't see Paddington 2 on this list.
That's a rabbit hole or a bear hole. Hey,
Holla.
Paddington 2 reference and Baylor. Bill and Austin, what's going on, Bill?
Hey guys. I was Joni Taylor, Molly Miller, or Dia Barnes person, but after sleeping on it, I think I'm starting to come around. Kind of what some other people have already said. I think by hiring a WNBA coach is a big deal. I think a lot of her lack of experience in college is because of her husband and working for him. I don't think that she's going to be scared of the legacy or anything like that of Kim. And I think also having, some continuity with the seniors staying, I think that speaks a lot. And I think a big thing that, Mac was maybe looking at was saying, hey, if we hire a WNBA coach, we're already a name program. We're a blue blood. Basketball. Why can't players just come here to get straight to the pros, right? And I think we're going to see that on the men's side and the women's side. The players now, look at some of these leagues that are popping up for high school kids. They want to go make money quick. And if we can have a program and have a coach that's going to say, hey, we can get you to your next level to where you can make money in 3 years, in 4 years, that's going to be huge for us in getting some of the top players because they want to get paid as quickly as possible. So I think that's a huge deal as well. So I'm starting to come around on the hire. I like it more the more I think about it. Something else that Smokey said yesterday made me think was Mac Rhodes always had this ability when he picks a coach is trying to keep the winning now, not necessarily thinking 20 years down the road. So this might be a hire that maybe is only for 5 years. Maybe it is kind of like a Matt Rule thing where she stays around for a couple of years, makes some good money in the women's game, college, and then goes back to the WNBA or does something else. So anyways, I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for calling. I want to get your Bear Games questions in here, Bill. And that's Rotten Tomatoes, 1 to 100. What do you rate this?
Man, I'm going to give it a 75 just because I think it wasn't our first choice. I think that Taylor and Barnes turned us down. I think Barnes would have been a coach had she not been an Arizona alumnus. So I'll give it a 75 right now, and we'll see how it goes.
And, Bill, what are those checkpoints, those cursors she's got to hit in year number 1 to have sustained success at Baylor?
She's going to have to win the Big 12 probably, like the other guys have said, probably make at least the Elite 8. I mean, I think we can have, depending on who all stays and if we pick up any transfers, I mean, we should have a Final Four Elite 8 caliber team next year, if not maybe a favorite to win the title. So that would be huge for her if she can keep the winning for next year, and then recruiting will take care of itself, especially we keep Brock and Messer.
I love it. Hey, Bill, thanks for your call. Good to get your thoughts. Thanks for holding on there a while, too.
Thanks, man.
See ya. Bill held on for like 18 minutes.
Heck yeah, Bill.
Trooper.
She has the luxury and the burden of having so many great players back.
Good, well put.
That anything less than the Elite Eight is going to be like, well, we had a lot of horses here. Why didn't you do?
Hey, man. Me and Miss P is watching the game, and we didn't understand why y'all wasn't letting Queen Igbo and Alyssa Smith go score a lot of points. Why y'all losing in the Sweet 16?
Those are my thoughts.
I'm with you.
Why? That's the thing is if I'm gonna be Country Bill from Bigelow, Arkansas, Country Jim, I think is what I named him.
I love him though.
Hey, can we just win a title or something?
I'm
like
with
that.
you.
That's where I am. I think. Well, Bill was the guy he's the guy that doesn't don't set like crazy precedents.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get like Randy. Hey, I want her to win right now, and I'm with Randy.
Unreasonable Randy.
Randy's right though.
Randy is right
because we need to win right now.
I'm with him.
Randy's
I'm with
typically
Randy.
not right.
Me and Randy
Both
and you
Jim
are
and
on
Randy
the
have their
foxhole.
flaws.
Yeah.
But Randy right now he's correct. We don't have enough on-air talent in the studio to have this conversation, so we've now created 2 aliases to help us have this debate. And I agree with Randy right now that she's got to win next season.
I'm getting all the personas mixed up. I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
But I'm with you. I'm with Randy.
Yeah.
I think she needs to win now. Elite. I mean, if she didn't have so much coming back, it'd be a different conversation. But there's so much cause for excitement and potential. Like if Kim Mulkey was still here, you're talking about a national title. And the same players are here besides Hannah. Like besides that, you still have all the players that were crucial to last year, who was let's call a spade, a foul away from the Final Four. You know?
Yeah. Up next, Molly Miller, assistant coach question. I'm just kidding. We're not even hitting the break yet.
I love it.
Man, that is going to be a conversation still. The Molly Miller thing, MM2BU is never going to die. The alliteration.
Still trending.
But yeah, I think hiring assistants is huge as well. And I do want to note, before we get to G-Dub's call and Don's call really quick, the Molly Miller hire, you're hiring someone who's won at a high level at the D2. 6 great seasons and a pretty good season at Grand Canyon University. Do you want, if I would have asked you before you saw anything about Molly Miller, before you know the name, like just empty box A ? Empty box B ? This is a recent WNBA Pro Coach of the Year who's been in the college game for 20 seasons. This is a coach with 7 years head coach experience at the Division II level. 1 year at the Division I level. WNBA Coach of the Year, Division II, a little bit of Division I. You know, in the empty boxes, who you would say is the home run smash hit hire.
Yeah.
So take away the whole Molly Miller deal. This is don't be disappointed in this hire because it's not MM2BU.
Because it's not MC. It's still a good hire. It's still honestly in a lot of ways a risky hire in some ways, in the sense that she hasn't been a college head coach. We've beat that over the head a few times, but she hasn't been a college head coach.
That's violent.
Doesn't have a winning record in the WNBA, but she is a good coach. She's been around good coaches. She's been around winning programs. She knows how to win. And I think the biggest thing that made her the women's basketball head coach at Baylor, she is a great culture fit. I think you put something on the board with her leading a Bible study for her players. Like, she is a great cultural fit, and she knows how to coach winning basketball. So I think she's, in a lot of ways, a home run for Baylor.
Got G-Dub on right here. A home run. Big words right there. G-Dub, what do you think? Home run, yay or nay? Ground rule double, single up the left side, maybe a triple that got to the corner?
I'm going triple down the third base line.
We'll take it. I
mean, I'm not surprised. I told y'all this yesterday. Mac Rose, he does what he wants. Like nobody like Drake said. There are a few shows that had her name popped up here and there, but nobody thought she was a real contender for the job. And then he goes, "Oh, y'all want Molly Miller? Bam!"
Yeah, I'll get you one better. He said that's what Mac Rhodes did. Is Mac was like, "Hey, psst, 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 Molly Miller," and then everyone started talking about Molly Miller, and he underneath the table.
I think that was us saying.
Maybe it was
I don't
us.
know what Mac Rhodes was saying.
We might have started the Molly Miller deal. That's a great point. There, I want to take credit for that. Her next job, we get a steak out of that. Her next paycheck, we get a small cut of in Texas Roadhouse steak.
You led that charge too, so credit to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and it's what Mac Rose does, because if y'all think about it, when Matt Rule left,
and
they were looking. The first name that popped up was Justin Fuente from Virginia Tech. They thought, okay, it's going to be him. Then, bam, Dave Aranda coming out of nowhere. So we shouldn't really be surprised he came out of nowhere with this.
Right. We shouldn't be surprised that we're surprised, which I think is a really good point, honestly, G-Dub. Like, this is a very vintage Mack Rhoades' hiring process. Mack Rhoades hire someone that we didn't really have a great feel on, or I didn't at least have a great feel on they were going to hire. I'm with you, G-Dub. Great point. Great point.
Yeah, and then hopefully Messer can stay, get Brock to stay.
Messer.
And then who knows? Maybe he can go get like the girls head basketball coach at Duncanville, DeSoto, like a coach like that, a high level 6A coach that knows the state, and to help out with recruiting, like Matt Rule did with Joey McGuire, Sean Bell, and Coach Wetzel.
That's a good point. That's a real good point.
So,
well, G-Dub, do you have any questions for us before we get to our Bear games?
If y'all could start a restaurant with any Baylor coach, what would the cuisine be? Like Mexican, Italian?
Ooh,
this could get dangerous. This could get very dangerous.
I'm still thinking.
I'm gonna go Dave Aranda, and we're starting a Louisiana Cajun restaurant right beside Buzzard Billy's. Put them out of business because Buzzard Billy's is good. I'm gonna do that. What say you?
I'm gonna say me and Coach Bell are starting a wing stop.
Ooh,
a wing shop.
Come on,
a wing stop
I like
and shop.
that. Sean Bell.
I'll say Sean Bell's got just wing it.
G-Dub.
Sean Bell, coaching the quarterbacks, baby.
What do you rate this hire, G-Dub? 1 to 100.
I'll go with 7. I'll go this. Even though she doesn't, like y'all said, she doesn't have a lot of coaching experience, like head coaching experience. But think about this: neither did Scott Drew when he came to Baylor. So I'll go a 70 with big coach Drew vibes.
Coach Drew vibes. Okay, and G-Dub, first year number. What does she got to do right away?
Well, win the Big 12, beat Texas. Well, that ties in together.
Win the Big 10, beat TU.
Win the Big 12, and at least the Sweet 16 or Elite 8.
All right, lock it in. Hey, thanks for your call, G-Dub. Always good to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
We'll go right from that into Don, because Don's been holding on for 17 minutes. Don,
Love
what's
it.
going on? I know you're excited today about the big hire.
All right, let me tell you right now, first of all, this is Bubba Whippersnapper. Now, I'm so proud of the fact you got some kinfolk on the show talking about all this stuff.
Bingo.
I can't tell you how much it means to me about all these other personalities you got on board here. So, anyways, I'll get you back to Mr. Don Buckmurray here in a second right now, but I just want to let y'all know about you making old Bubba and all his kinfolk very happy. And I tell you what, sometimes we open up a can of whoopers, but right now we don't have to, because this is a good hire. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go.
Hey, guys, this is Don.
Oh, Don.
Hey, man, I thought I might bring a different...
Don, somebody hijacked your phone there for a second. We got 6 people on the show now.
I love it. We're rolling deep.
Don, that was good.
Hey, listen, I think the hire is freaking awesome. You know, and there's a caller that called in just a few calls before me, and he was right on. I think it's a home run hit. I think that the key factors is her assistant coaches and who she brings in. And if Rock and Mesa can stay, that'll be great because of the continuity they have with the players right now, and just to keep the core group together. I think they're already together. I mean, you've got already tweeted out a lot of the players. They're ready to rock and roll. So I think you've got those guys on board. It's just a matter of just getting everybody together and just for them to meet the coach and what she wants from the players. As far as how she's going to run the team and what she's going to do. With the players that she has. But I'm excited about it. I think the assistants will be a key in how successful she is moving forward. I think the first year is a gimme, but I will tell you, I think one of the questions is what does she need to do the first year. She does need to win the Big 12, and then maybe the Elite 8, get to the Elite 8. But what she really needs to do, she needs to get that commitment back from Wagner that decommitted. This is 2023, but she is going to be a top-notch player. She needs to get her back on board, and that should be like one of the very first things that she actually, does is just reach out to her and just get her back in the loop with Baylor, because now Wagner's going to be able to talk to all the other coaches out there, and I'm sure Ken's going to be going after it too, rightfully so.
But she does have Baylor ties, and I think it's just important that that she does what she can to get her back in the picture with Baylor.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, Kim's going to win at LSU. It is going to take, and I don't want to wish any ill will on Kim, and I don't. But for those that are like, man, I really want Kim to win a bunch at LSU, well, think about how it's going to recruit Baylor. She's still going after a lot of the same players that Baylor will be going after. Collen has the ability to sit in a recruit's room and say, I coach pro basketball. I can get you to the pros. I can make it to where you're making money to play basketball when that's pretty rare in the women's game. And Kim Mulkey can't necessarily say that from the coaching standpoint where she's been in the pros. But if Mulkey wins year one at LSU, that's going to make that recruiting ground a really, really heated battle between those two.
It's going to be it's going to be very interesting. So very interesting how that.
Don,
that's a very true statement. Very, very true statement.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, there will be recruiting battles between Baylor and LSU now, thanks to Kim Mulkey going to Louisiana State. Don, the question we have for you though, Rotten Tomatoes 1 to 100. How do you rate this hire right now?
Guys, I'll just I would have to say 100. Because due to the fact of her background in the WNBA and what she can bring to the table with the current senior roster, with what to expect in the WNBA and just the players in general. As far as she'll be. It's like what Rule did. He was able to groom his players for the NFL, and I think that's what she's going to do here. She's going to be able to groom. This is a great recruiting tool too. She's going to be able to groom these players that she brings on board. For the WNBA, because that's what their aspirations are, right? Everybody wants to make it to WNBA, and how hard it is just to get in. But she has the wisdom and knowledge to tell the players, hey, I can do that. I've been doing it, So I think she has that ability to do it. So I think that will be key. So I'm going to go with 100.
100 on the board, and then you talked about it. This is not a soft There's no, how do I want to put this? The expectation is immediate when it comes to what she needs to do next year. There is not a buffer year where, you can go 500 in league play, a little bit over 500 and be okay next season. There are some jobs in the country where you can win 3 games in league play and we'll be happy. Yeah. That's not Baylor. Don, what do you need to see next year immediately from Nicki Collen for her to keep and sustain at Baylor?
She has to win. I mean, no one's really talked about her style of play either, and I really don't know what it is. I don't know if y'all have heard, but that's going to be important with the chemistry that's already there, versus what Kim's style was, right? So, her style of play will really determine how far they get, with the current roster, because they're used to Kim's style. So that's going to be, and that's why having Brock and Messmer there to help her with what that style was, and kind of merge her way. And then, the Kim's way, if you will, together to make a core group of girls play at their top-notch potential.
I don't think even Collen knows where her style is going to be at the college level, right? Because, she's never been a head coach. She's never been a head coach at the college level. She's never been a head coach at the college level.
That is so stupid.
She has never been a head coach at the college level.
She's been an assistant.
You don't think
for
she's going to take?
years.
She's got a whole new group of players with players she didn't recruit. You don't think she's going to take over her own new style as a head coach? You don't think maybe there's a little bit of a difference there than the pro game?
There is,
but
assistant? It's not like she's going to be like, I'm going to go from playing a fast pace to a slow pace.
Right, okay, but she's going to have so much more controls than she has ever had at the college level. That is the fact. That is the truth. That is true.
But that doesn't change your style of play.
The pro game and the college game is different, I'm assuming.
But she spent exponentially more years in the college game.
As an assistant, not as a head coach. As a head coach.
That doesn't change the style you want.
You have more
head
control.
Coach was when she was the coaching assistant, her husband.
Who has more control, the head coach or the assistant?
Well, I don't know. When you're married.
Who has more?
When you're married.
Don't play that card. Who has more control, the head coach or the assistant?
The head coach.
Right. So when you're the head coach, yes, very mature of you. The head coach has more control. So she will now have more control than she's ever had at the college level.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some growing pains there. Can we agree? At a school you never recruited from? Players you didn't recruit and you have to now put them in place to win. I think there's probably some growing pains there. I think that's fair to say. I think she's going to find her rhythm as a head coach.
Yeah, maybe
at the college level.
Rhythm, but I'm saying style of play, style of coaching. Her style of play is not going to. She's not going to go from like a big time 3-point shooting coach. I don't know if she is to like we're going to feed it to the post.
Probably. I'm saying there's probably some adaptation there, is what I would think as a head coach.
Maybe.
Remains to be seen.
Don, thanks for your call. Sorry, well, you held Don on for that.
Sorry, Don. I'm so sorry, Don.
One other thing. I know y'all just throwing love at one another right now. Hey, but I am totally convinced, Drake, that you are Molly Miller's agent. I am totally convinced of that.
Yeah, Don's got a good point here. Don's on to something. Don, thanks for your call. We're gonna leave that dormant. I would be a great agent. See you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
I would be a great agent if I was Molly Miller's agent because she's going to get a big-time job somewhere, and we are to thank. Not her winning percentage or how great she is as a head coach, no.
But she's going to sign a big
Tickle
old
the basketball,
contract.
baby. Tickle the basketball. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. PicKell, and I was thinking about it when I saw the announcement they hired Nicki Collen. My immediate reaction. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes to your head, right? Like the first sentence that pops in your head is the first, like, wow, what do I do from here? Like, you're super busy with this. Like, we just got a new head coach at Baylor University. How are we going to cover it? Who do I call to talk about it? How do I set up the guest list? But I'll tell you that none of that stuff went through my head, like at the very first. My immediate reaction as soon as it said, hey, Nicki Collen's the head coach at Baylor University, was that the first hour of SicEm365's Up-Tempo is brought to you by Banson Business Services. Owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green, Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. Banson specializes in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. And I kept thinking about how they can help you do your taxes because their business...
It helps you run your business, doesn't it?
It helps you run
That's right.
your business. Visit SicEm365.com/Banson for more information. BANCIN. They will help you run your business. You say, I got a business, and this is a lot.
I need someone to help me run it right now.
I need help running this business. Banson Business
my taxes
Services.
a little
They
bit
do,
too.
yeah, taxes, everything. You just call them and say, hey, I need help with this part of my business. They're going to do it. That's the first thought I had when Nicki Collen was hired. Speaking of thoughts, we open up a mailbag. We're going to get to the mailbag. We're going to break down Nicki Collen, and we're going to try to figure out and as we answer these texts and questions, what is her philosophy? What's her style of play? We're going to try to figure that out up next. I'm Drake Toll. It's J.D. PicKell, Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie in studio. When we come back, we're talking more Nicki Collen at Baylor. Don't go anywhere. This is Up-Tempo.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Baylor has filled its women's basketball coaching vacancy with 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year and former Atlanta Dream head coach Nicki Collen. The 45-year-old Collen was announced via the women's basketball social media around 6 o'clock last night. Prior to being in Atlanta, the Indiana native played at Purdue and Marquette in the mid-90s. Her coaching career has included stops as an assistant at Colorado State, Ball State, Louisville, Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast, and the Connecticut Sun. Collen has a collective 38-52 record in the WNBA after going 23-11 in her first season as head coach. That season was a massive turnaround for a program that had gone just 12-22 the year prior. Her and her husband, Tom, who is also a women's basketball coach, have 3 children. It is expected that Collen will arrive in Waco today, with her opening press conference being scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday in the Farrell Center. Around the High, Our Lady Bear basketball star Nalissa Smith, Queen Egbo, and Caitlin Bickle have all tweeted out messages of support for Collen and the program. It is expected that all 3 athletes will stay with the team next season, and that Alabama transfer Jordan Lewis will likely do the same. Huge news for Collen and the Lady Bears. Outside of women's basketball, the men's tennis team was named the number 2 overall seed in the nation during last night's NCAA selection show. The team will host Alabama, Oregon, and A&M Corpus Christi for the first 2 rounds in Waco. And the women's tennis team earned a 1 seed as the number 8 overall national seed. They will also host rounds 1 and 2 in Waco against Duke, Alabama, and A&M Corpus Christi. Competition for postseason play begins this Saturday and wraps up Sunday. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84, and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese, and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. PicKell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll alongside J.D. PicKell and Armstrong Sims. Jack McKenzie's in studio with us today, talking Nicki Collen, the new women's basketball coach at Baylor University, how she'll compile her staff, will it include Molly Miller, and on top of that, the 3 seniors that are staying, Caitlin Bickle, Queen Egbo, and Nalissa Smith. Queen Egbo is going to be a preseason All-American. Nalissa Smith's going to be the preseason National Player of the Year, and both of those players will be in Waco next season. Thank you for staying. Thank you very much for staying.
So much firepower.
Woo!
So much firepower. As a head coach, to walk into that, are you kidding me? You got to feel like you're just about to walk into a king's riches. It's like Christmas. Like, okay, I have 3 of the best players in the country, at least 2 of the best players in the country, without a doubt. She's going to have a whole lot of toys to work with, so I'm excited for her. This first season should be, I think one of our callers said it, it should be a gimme. Season 2 or 3, we'll find out a lot about her coaching style, her culture, all that. That's when that becomes her own program. Right now, she has Kim Mulkey's players, Kim Mulkey's culture, and she's just steering the wheel.
Okay.
You with me?
I'm with you. Oh, and not only am I with you,
with me.
but I am with you. Tomorrow at, so we got a question from Marshall Burns and Jerry. So Jerry says, hey, is it open to the public tomorrow? So here's what I have. We have press conference 2:30 Wednesday at Farrell Center, streamed live on ESPN Plus and Facebook Live. Doors open at 1:30 for media. So limited number of floor seats are reserved for media. Then video feed, media seating, COVID-19 policy, video audio files. So not seeing anything about public yet. Not seeing anything about the public yet. So
I wonder, have hires typically been open to the public recently? Do we know?
I feel like most of them have. I feel like Kim Mulkey's was at LSU.
Kim Mulkey's, they probably opened the floodgates. Said anybody and everybody. Except for the governor, you're front row.
Keep it in there. So I got a couple of these questions we're gonna get to, and I'm gonna send a couple messages. What are you doing tomorrow at 2:30? You got to work?
I'm dog walking, yeah. But
dang it,
what's going on?
There's the press conference at 2:30 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
We should have pulled up. Scotty B, the Baylor King says, I admit I'm shocked about this particular hire, but I do think it's a good hire for Baylor women's basketball. Now I'm interested to see what the staff consists of. That from Scotty B. Shocked. Would you describe yourself as shocked at this hire?
I would say shock's probably a fair word. Maybe shock's a little bit excessive because you actually enlightened me yesterday on the show. That was the first time I heard of Nicki Collen. Was when
in
my life when you were like she's on the
Atlanta Dream.
I wasn't as privy to the Atlanta Dream's prowess within the WNBA at that point in time. But I mean, if you weren't watching Up Tempo, I don't know where you would have heard Nicki Collen prior to. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a little bit shocked. I thought Duffy. I thought maybe there was a conversation to be had for. I mean, I was still kind of holding out hope for Molly Miller. I was holding out hope for Shauna Green. That's where my expectations were. So I think shock's a fair word. What about you?
I don't know about shocked. You know, once I heard the name around and I asked some sources about it over the weekend, and they said that she would be a pretty solid hire. So I liked that. This Jack Wheeler, personally don't know much about her, but if Mac believes in her and she represents what Baylor is, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can just be confident in Mac Rhodes. Like at the end of the day, it just further confirms that Mac Rhodes knows a lot about coaching, knows a lot more about the athletic program than I ever hope to forget. You know what I mean? I think he just has a great handle on this entire athletic program. And I mean, this just confirms it. He knows more than me. I'm smarter than Mac, or Mac Rhodes is smarter than me, and I trust him. Don't you think? What about you?
Yeah, I trust Mac here. But the Matt Rule hire was put into question a ton, but Mac knew what he was doing, obviously. Matt Rule built it quickly. Jerry says, was Governor Abbott invited to the opening press conference? Jerry, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no. I'm going to say no, that Governor Abbott will probably not be there tomorrow.
I'll say no doubt about it.
Probably not. You say Abbott's there?
No doubt about
Abbott. Abbott it.
No doubt about it.
This texter says, I support Nicki Collen hire and hope she retains Brock and Messer, as well as maybe Mackenzie Fuller in basketball operations. Hopefully Fuller is a conversation that's had, but Brock and Messer, you retain both of those. Oh, baby. Woo! Jason in Fort Worth, you mentioned Matt Rule and his coaching record at Baylor. Big difference looking at overall losing records in a program. Started 1-11 and finished in the Sugar Bowl. Collins started 23-11, then went 8-26, 7-15. That's why that's put into question. This says, I was excited for Rule and Aranda, but this is a head scratcher. Ultimately, I'll take the wait and see approach. Hope it works out because Baylor has just turned down a head coach with a 900 winning percentage who was a perfect culture fit. Time will tell. Rotten Tomatoes 47% from Jason in Fort Worth.
A monster has been created.
Yeah.
A monster has
created
been
a monster.
created.
Nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want Shady. I'm chopped liver. We're going to get copyrighted for that. Let's go ahead and just take it out.
Oh, that was good. I liked it.
So culture fit with Molly Miller, I guess. Yeah. But also tickle the basketball. I don't know if you saw the tickle the basketball thing. She's talking about changing your verbiage when you coach. Like, I know we say help side, so they call it like the no-no zone. It's not the actual, they don't actually call it the no-no zone, but like that's what they would call something like that.
Interesting.
It's like they change words up. She was like, so instead of, active hands, we say tickle the basketball. And like if you walk in day one and look Alyssa Smith in the face, the National Player of the Year preseason, and say, all right, our defensive philosophy is to tickle the basketball. Probably not going to go over well.
Interesting.
Probably not going to go
Got to
over
be all in the delivery, right? Got to be all in the context and the eye contact role with Alyssa Smith.
Hey, we're going to get out there. This is going to get tough.
I mean,
but we're going to be out there. We're going to play defense hard. And when I say hard, you're going to get out there and you're going to tickle the basketball.
She's also got to have some credibility, though, being WNBA Coach of the Year. Like, I think Alyssa Smith is like, hey, you've been where I want to go.
This is Molly Miller. Molly Miller's tickled the basketball.
Oh, Molly Miller's tickled the basketball.
Molly Miller tickled the basketball.
Okay, yeah. I also be like, you're from D2. I don't really.
I'm probably not going to tickle the basketball.
I've the national player
on a
of the
scale
year
of 1
starts.
to tickling the basketball, I'm at a 0.
Yeah.
If I'm Alyssa Smith,
sell.
that's probably what I say. I don't think there is a delivery on that you can like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just got to tickle it.
That's the way we're going to play defense right here.
Coming from Collen and coming from Miller, very different.
That was a
very, very different.
That was a reference to Any Given Sunday.
Why is that your Molly
like
Miller
that,
voice?
Is it Pacino that's in Any Given Sunday that gives the inch by inch,
I haven't seen
yard
that.
by yard? That's what I was going
seen
for there, except Molly Miller-esque.
I should have seen that.
What do you want me to be like? So we're going to tickle the basketball? What do you want? What do you want?
You could say, we're going to tickle a basketball.
You like that? We're going to tickle the basketball. I'm Armstrong Sims. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
I guess we'll never know.
I just don't know how you got to that voice.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I'll give you a free pass on that one. That was it was just my coaching voice. I have a lot of different. We are visited every now and then by characters. Christopher says, "Hey y'all, this is Christopher."
What's up, Chris?
Shoot,
Hey,
I don't even know if Christopher.
Christopher.
I don't even know if Christopher has a southern accent, but I just started off. Hey y'all, this is Christopher. I agree with some of the callers that at least the Elite Eight is expectation this year, as we have a bona fide. Okay, yeah, he's southern. He said bona fide. We have a bona fide top 4 roster. Question for y'all. How do you think Coach Collen will do in recruiting? In women's basketball, do recruits go to school for the name alone? Thinking of a school an hour south down 35. What say you to Christopher, our good buddy? 10-4.
I hope that's how Christopher sounds, because that was awesome.
He said bona fide.
I really do think the brand's going to have a lot of weight. I mean, I love that Stephen Virginia made that point. If you want to play professional basketball, you're probably coming to Baylor anyway. If you want to play professional basketball and you want to come to Baylor, well, guess what? You have a coach who's been at the professional level. So that has to sweeten the pot a lot. So, I mean, she'll probably have to make inroads depending on who she has on staff. Because, I mean, the staff, I would assume, is really the ones who do most of the legwork when it comes to recruiting. But the brand of the head coach and what the head coach has done previously, I think will sell some, especially for those that want to play professionally, which I would assume Baylor is in large part recruiting. So will there be some ground to make up? Probably. Will there be an adjustment period? Probably that too. But I do think that she has the capability, and with what Baylor has behind her, backing her, that's going to be enormous as well. So I have a lot of confidence in the long term she'll be able to do it, but it will be something that's in some ways, I think, a little bit new recruiting from a school like Baylor. Because, I mean, not everybody's a fit for Baylor, right? Culturally, you got to have a fit for Baylor too.
Yeah, and I one can only hope she can recruit and be the culture fit, because both of those things are very big. I think we maybe haven't talked about the culture fit enough today, but she is a great culture fit. Otherwise, Mac Rhodes wouldn't have hired her. Also in today's show, before we get into Celebrity Dead or Alive here in a second, on today's show, we got a loaded guest list, as do the afternoon guys. That show's going to be great this afternoon. Make sure you tune in 3 to 6. But we've got in today and today alone, Rachel Galligan joins us at 12:05. She's a WNBA insider. Morgan Uber from the Big 12 joins us at 12:30. Then Coach Mike Neighbors calls at 1:05 on Collen. Her husband was the head coach at Arkansas for better part of 8 years. And then Gracie Grundaver joins at 1:30 for the big board. But now it's the time you've all been waiting for. It's the time where I list off 9 celebrities. Armstrong and J.D., well, they got to figure out whether or not these people are dead or alive. It is Tuesday, and it's time to play Dead or Alive. Cue the music. Ba-dum-bum. Bum. Ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, this is good.
Oh, shoot.
Crank it.
Okay,
I can't
Armstrong?
even hear it. I can't even hear Celebrity
This is a
Dead or
hit.
Alive.
Is this new? Have I heard this before?
You haven't heard this before.
This is a freaking banger, dog.
This is something
This was Papa Shot.
This is something I pulled. Oh, this was Papa
You're
Shot.
in your bag today.
This is something I pulled out because I didn't have the other music.
Do you have a camera on you today?
I do.
I want to get a camera on you. Master's hat, baby blue threads.
Master?
He's not playing around today, folks.
This is like my 15th favorite shirt I own.
You thought you were getting a minute.
Collared shirt.
You get a whole lot more than that.
Possibly my least favorite shirt.
His arms are strong, the best calves in all of Waco. Armstrong Moneymaker Sims.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, real rap raw.
You know.
Real rap raw.
Number 1, John M. Lilly, the president of Baylor University before Ken Starr. President from 2006 to 2008, dead or alive, President Lilly.
Rest in peace, Prezi Lilly.
Yeah, I'm going to say dead.
He's alive.
There you go.
82. He's
Never
a
doubted
Democrat.
it.
Sorry, man.
Never doubted it for a second.
He's a big fan of the show, too.
Never doubted it.
Still watches Baylor stuff. Yo-Yo Ma, famous cellist, Yo-Yo Ma.
Cellist.
Yeah.
Alive.
I'm going to say he's dead.
Yo-Yo Ma's watching the show right now. He's 65 years old and he's alive.
Definitely alive.
There we go.
Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo.
Big Yo-Yo Ma guy.
Yo-Yo Ma. Charlie Murphy, brother of Eddie Murphy. Big part of the Chappelle Show. The Chappelle Show.
Okay. I'm going to say he's dead.
Wow.
I'm going to say alive.
We haven't had
The
a
brother
dead yet.
of
Mainly 'cause
Eddie
I don't wanna
Murphy
kill anybody.
is dead.
Dang.
62. He would have been 62 today.
I'm right. I'm not happy about it.
Hussein Habre, the first democratically elected president of Argentina.
Hussein Habre.
Dead.
I'm going to say he's dead. If he's the first democratically elected president, I'm gonna say
Actually,
he's dead.
I don't think that's who that is. I actually don't have a profile for Hussein Habre. He is famous in some regard, though.
Hussein in the membrane. That's the guy. isn't he?
Bingo. He's alive.
Yes,
78.
sir.
Cue the music.
Dang it.
Bud Abbott of Abbott and Costello, dead or alive?
Dude, there's only been one dead
music.
this whole time, so I'm going to say he's dead too.
I'm going to say, yeah, he's dead.
He is dead. 78, though. Would have been pretty young.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Buzz Aldrin, that famous space guy. Dead or alive?
Alive.
This is the one who
Went to
escaped
space.
from Andy's
The one who
bedroom
went to space.
with Woody.
Yes.
Does he have another last name?
Dead or
by
alive?
light year. I'm going to say he's dead.
He is alive, 91 years
You
old.
never heard of
go.
Buzz Aldrin?
Buzz Aldrin, yeah, that's really tough.
Really?
Wait, did you go to history class in high school?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it was
that's
an
what
AP history, actually.
Really? And you
Holla.
didn't know
And
who
you
Bing
don't know,
Crosby was?
you don't know who Bing Crosby is?
We skipped over the space section.
You don't know who Buzz Aldrin is.
Bing
We
Crosby?
were more concerned
Space.
with this portion.
Raul
Of the
Alfonso.
universe.
He was the first democratically elected president of Argentina.
Basic American history.
Alive.
Dead.
Buzz Aldrin's
Dead.
basic American
94.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buzz
100%.
Aldrin is basic
Million
American
percent.
history. Absolutely.
He is definitely
He's an astronaut.
That does not.
I
no.
can go
Definitely,
twice
Jack
as
agrees.
high.
Buzz Aldrin.
The
Take
YouTube
a
comments
look.
will back me up. Buzz
Sit
Aldrin.
up, book.
Buzz
Reading
Aldrin is
rainbow.
basic. Should I have known that? Maybe. Is he basic American history? I beg to differ.
No, he
Can go
definitely is.
anywhere.
He definitely is.
Sorry, what's
Frankie Valli. Sherry.
Ooh.
Sherry, baby. Frankie Valli, how old?
I think he's dead, actually.
I'm going to say dead.
He's alive, 87.
Ooh.
He was literally, his birthday was yesterday. His birthday was
Happy birthday,
yesterday,
Frank.
and I read it on Celebrity Birthdays, and you just said dead.
What's the guy's name?
Frankie Valli. Sherry.
I didn't know that.
Frankie
Four
Hidden Valley.
Seasons. Jackie Jackson, the
Frankie
eldest
Hidden
member
Valley.
of the Jackson 5. Jackie Jackson. Jackie.
Ooh.
Jackson. Jack.
I
Jack
feel like
Square.
I've called everybody dead today. I'm going to say Jackie Jackson's dead, too.
I'm going to say alive.
He is alive at 70 years old. I think you guys tied, actually. So the tiebreaker, Jack McKenzie in studio today.
Ooh.
Dead or alive?
Right
Dead.
now?
I've got one dead right now. In 20 years. Over under 20.
Oh, I got you on the over on that, Jack.
All right, we
Over
got
20
alive.
years.
I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. PicKell, Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie. That's been Celebrity Dead or Alive today. When we come back, we're joined by Rachel Galligan, WNBA insider. You don't want to miss it. Don't go anywhere. She's going to talk to us about Nicki Collen and what her form of play is and what she's going to bring to Baylor. This is Uptempo.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Baylor has filled its women's basketball coaching vacancy with 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year and former Atlanta Dream head coach Nicki Collen. The 45-year-old Collen was announced via the women's basketball social media around 6 o'clock last night. Prior to being in Atlanta, the Indiana native played at Purdue and Marquette in the mid-90s. Her coaching career has included stops as an assistant at Colorado State, Ball State, Louisville, Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast, and the Connecticut Sun. Collen has a collective 38-52 record in the WNBA after going 23-11 in her first season as head coach. That season was a massive turnaround for a program that had gone just 12-22 the year prior. Her and her husband Tom, who is also a women's basketball coach, have 3 children. It is expected that Collen will arrive in Waco today, with her opening press conference being scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday in the Farrell Center. Around the Higher Lady Bear basketball star Nalissa Smith, Queen Egbo, and Caitlin Bickle have all tweeted out messages of support for Collen and the program. It is expected that all 3 athletes will stay with the team next season, and that Alabama transfer Jordan Lewis will likely do the same. Huge news for Collen and the Lady Bears. Outside of women's basketball, the men's tennis team was named the number 2 overall seed in the nation during last night's NCAA selection show. The team will host Alabama, Oregon, and A&M Corpus Christi for the first 2 rounds in Waco. And the women's tennis team earned a 1 seed as the number 8 overall national seed. They will also host rounds 1 and 2 in Waco against Duke, Alabama, and A&M Corpus Christi. Competition for postseason play begins this Saturday and wraps up Sunday. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. May the 4th be with you. Nicki Collen, the head coach of the Baylor women's basketball program, coming from the Atlanta Dream, the 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year, and now she's in Waco. Her and her family just landing today. Opening press conference tomorrow, coming at 2:30 in the Farrell Center. And we're now joined by WNBA insider Rachel Galligan, former coach too, to talk about Nicki Collen and what she brings to the table. Rachel, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
I am so happy to be here. So excited for Nicki. I've known her for a long time, going back to my coaching days. So
Just a really exciting time. I can't imagine the energy on campus right now.
Rachel, I want to start right here. It's very, very broad. There's so many ways you can answer this, and I just want something that everybody can really grab onto if they haven't heard of Nicki Collen, and that is, who is Nicki Collen? What is Baylor getting in their new women's basketball coach?
I met Nicki when I was a very young assistant, and she obviously was a little bit older, had a little bit more experience. And the thing I loved about her right from the get was she had no ego. I realized right away that she was about people. She was about helping the next generation, of whether that's players, whether that is young coaches. And she really kind of took me under her wing in some ways. And I really kind of got to learn the ropes from her, domestically recruiting, but also internationally recruiting. We spent a lot of time overseas watching international ball. And then through the years, just kind of maintained that friendship. And I was able to follow her career from her time at Louisville over to Arkansas. Then she was finally at Florida Gulf Coast. So she has coached at a very high level as an assistant. And I think she has really been an integral part of the success of those teams because of her heart for the players and the staff around her. And then when she was able to get on with the Connecticut Sun, her and Kurt Miller, those are two coaches that I admire greatly and learned a lot from myself. It was a no-brainer that from there she would quickly be a head coach with the Atlanta Dream. No one was I was not taken back by that hire. I felt like it was just a matter of time. She is a natural-born leader, and she has a way, an innate ability to connect with the players that I think is extremely unique, especially in this day and age of recruiting and just this generation of player. She has an ability to get the best out of you, and find that best out of you, where maybe, that hasn't been pulled out of you in a different way. And I think that really showed, especially that first year with Atlanta when she took that team really to the top of the standings and was named Coach of the Year. And you guys are getting a phenomenal person. She has a phenomenal heart. She's a mother. I mean, everything about her life just screams teacher, screams that she does not have an ego. This is not about her. This is about leadership. And I really think she's a natural born leader.
Rachel, we've heard Nicki reference herself as a player's coach, and that can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different arenas for a lot of different coaches. When it comes to Nicki Collen saying, I'm a player's coach, give us some insight on what she means in that.
I don't want to speak for Nicki, but from my understanding of that and observing her through all this time, a lot of coaches go into the mentality of, this is my system, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to find the right people to fit what I want to do. Whereas Nicki can take a player and she can get to know that player. I think she is filled with empathy. I think she is filled with an ability to put herself in someone else's shoes, and really relate to that player in different ways. And I think that's a hard trait to find, being able to coach a player differently. One player is not coached the same as another player is coached. She really can get in there, and she can pretty much, in my opinion, pull the best out of you in a way that maybe not a majority of coaches would be able to do. So I think when you talk about a player's coach, she can get you to believe things that you didn't even realize you could do. She can pull out the best of you. She can push that right button, and know the button's not to push. In terms of not even just your success on the court, but your success as an individual, growing you as an individual. That's how I take it.
Again, for those just joining us, Rachel Galligan with us today talking Nicki Collen and the hire at Baylor University. Rachel, you mentioned recruiting on an international scale. That's the question when you get a pro coach. Knowing that she spent well over a decade in the college game, you still get hey, she's a pro, she's a professionals coach. How is she going to be able to recruit when it comes to collegiate athletes? Give us insight there. Is this a coach with recruiting experience, and at what level?
I think Nicki is one of the best recruiters in the country. And I would say that right now with extreme confidence, just because of who she is and what she's been able to do as an assistant at a really high level. I think her experience in the WNBA only probably refined that, and being able to relate and understand top tier level players who have now taken that next step in their journey. And, whether that would be domestically or internationally, we all know she doesn't have to go very far. Texas is absolutely loaded with talent, but obviously having a nationwide reach that Baylor is going to have, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I really think she relates to people. People are naturally drawn to Nicki. And on an international scale, that's what I'm really fascinated to see. What what is that going to look like? Is that something she continues to build her staff around and maybe recruits to on a high level, looking for that high level international talent? I think it would be a mistake if she didn't at least take it into consideration, given, just her experience, the last 4 years in the WNBA and understanding international scale. But she has done this at every possible level, and she understands recruiting, in my opinion, as well, if not one of the top recruiters in the country. And I really feel that.
Rachel, this question was posed to us earlier today, and I think I could answer it just looking at her resume, but I want to hear your perspective on this. Someone asked us, they said, she's never been a head coach in the collegiate game, only at the professional level, and she's walking into a culture at Baylor that is ready to win. Baylor women's basketball is ready to win and win now, continue to win after Kim Mulkey moved on. And the question is Nicki Collen ready to be a head coach, but at the collegiate level right now?
My answer is yes, but I think there's some valid questions to be had there. I'm just going to be completely honest. That's a big jump going from being an assistant at a high-level BCS program at Arkansas. Back in 2014 was her last year there, and then her last collegiate assistant spot, Florida Gulf Coast, phenomenal program. Carl Smesco does a phenomenal job there. So, from there, you take your first head coaching position in the WNBA. I think you have head coaching experience at the highest level of the women's game. There is definitely a translation there, and I definitely think she is ready for this position. She knows, she's been on the sideline, she's called those timeouts, she's taken her team to the top of the standings in a really quick amount of time in that 2018 year. But I do think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. I mean, you're going from WNBA to Baylor women's basketball, Big 12, this is in my opinion, a top 2 program in the country. So it's going to take a lot this summer. Hopefully she gets to lean on her husband quite a bit, Tom Collin, who is phenomenal coach in his days as well. But, there is going to be an adjustment, but that's with anything. I would not be concerned about that. I think she's going to hit the ground running, have a great summer of recruiting, and probably get super excited to get out on the floor with her team and start those individual workouts.
Again, for those just joining us, Rachel Galligan on the show talking Nicki Collen, her hiring at Baylor, and someone that knows Nicki goes back with Nicki. And Rachel, knowing that, her ability to adapt, how well can she adapt to the roster that she's coming into? Because I'll tell you this, you got Nalissa Smith, who's the preseason National Player of the Year, will be, Queen Egbo, Caitlin Bickle, a solid senior core, and then Jordan Lewis transferring from Alabama. It's a loaded roster that Collen is walking into. How well is she going to be able to adapt to this roster day one walking in?
I'll tell you what, I really feel like it's going to be easier to adapt to a roster like this, which in my opinion is filled with pro-ready players. I mean, Nicki Collen, I would guarantee, has watched an extensive amount of Baylor basketball these last few years, just scouting and preparing for, the drafts and just these next generations. Those coaches, those GMs are doing that years in advance. So she already has a phenomenal understanding of what she's walking into here at Baylor. I think that, this team could probably give some WNBA teams a run for their money, in my opinion. At least in a preseason scrimmage or, whatever that might be. This team is incredible. And Nalissa Smith is personally one that I am so thrilled to see how she continues to develop. But I think the adjustment, again, she's used to coaching pros these last few years, and these players are right at that threshold. They are ready to take that step, and we're going to be talking about them and their professional careers here very soon. But I think the adjustment is easier with a team like Baylor coming from the pros than it would be, maybe a mid-major level program where you're dealing with a different type of player.
Rachel, this hire from our perspective that Mack Rhoades made to bring Nicki Collen to Baylor is a win-now hire. This isn't a let a coach get her feet wet for a few years and learn the collegiate game. Nicki has that experience already, and that's why Mack pulled the trigger on this one. In your opinion, what is her capabilities to win now? Does she have the win-now mentality that's going to help bring success to Baylor, not in 5 years, but starting next season?
100%. Look what she did in 2018. Her very first head coaching job in the WNBA, took an Atlanta Dream team that was below middle of the pack and no one saw doing what they were able to do. So she took a team that bought in immediately to her system, believed in exactly what she was saying from the get, and transformed that into a contender, in that year. They had a chance to go win the whole thing, top 3, top 4 team, whatever it ended up being. So I think that experience in itself is a proof that yes, she can. Now you're dealing with a completely different situation here. This is a Baylor team that those players are expecting to go win a national championship next year. So it's no longer coming in and saying, okay, let me teach you how to win. It's okay, let's take what we've been doing, let me add a new element to this, and let's go win this national championship. I definitely think she is more than capable of doing that.
I love that. That's a lot of confidence in a coach that has great collegiate experience and WNBA experience as far as coaching style goes. I'm looking right here at that 2018 year at the Atlanta Dream, and her team was 8th in the league in points scored, but 4th in the league in defense. And you look at that, seems like a trend in her coaching. Her defensive rating was 1st in the league that season. An emphasis on defense. Is that where Nicki Collen makes her bed when it comes to coaching women's college basketball or coaching women's basketball?
Yeah, I think she takes a lot of pride in it. I mean, it goes down to her roots as a player, I believe, and I mean, I agree with it too. I mean, yes, everybody wants to score points. High octane offenses are super great, but you know what happens on the night where shots aren't falling? You've got to be able to rely on that grittiness, that defensive attitude, that edge to you. And I think that's what the attitude that she brings to all of her teams, and they buy into that toughness of, even on nights where shots aren't falling, we are going to fuel that by how tough we are defensively. And I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know. This Baylor team is scary in terms of the length and the athleticism, and not just defensively, but their ability to absolutely dominate the glass. I mean, she is going to continue to hit that nail on the head from what Kim Mulkey has been preaching the last 21 years about defensive, really tenacity. And that is going to be what we can always lean on, regardless of what the scoreboard says. We're going to lock teams down, and you've got the team to be, in my opinion, they should be the best defensive team in the country next year.
When it comes, Rachel, not just to style of play, we talked about she values defense, as a lot of ex-players do, which is great. But you've got to build a staff around you to help bring your culture and facilitate that at a university. When it comes to hiring assistants, obviously she's got connections not just in the professional game, but in the collegiate game. Where, really, for a coach like this, where do you look for assistant coaches? Is there a current staff that you see her keeping intact with her to bring to Waco?
Well, I think that's an interesting discussion. I was kind of chatting with a few other coaching friends this morning about where does she go with this. That's going to be fascinating because I think you have to establish deep roots in Texas. You have got to cover your base there and find someone that is deeply rooted in, grassroots basketball, being able to help you understand the state, explain how it operates. I know Nicki already has that, but you've got to be able to protect your home court and recruit the state of Texas. And I would be curious. I mean, every coach has in their mind, if they were to get a position, who would they bring on their staff? Obviously, she had a phenomenal staff with the Atlanta Dream. I don't know how that translates. Sounds like one is going to stay back and be the interim. So I think, at this point, Nicki has so many connections back in the collegiate game. I think you've got to lean on existing college coaches, probably at a high level, ones that you have a relationship with. Any coach will tell you it's about trust. It's about trust and it's about loyalty. And so just leaning on those relationships and bringing a group with you that, one, can recruit, two, fits your system and it's like-minded individuals, but also ones that you can lean on and ones that you can trust, and maybe they really complement your weaknesses that you might bring to the table and help you as you translate into that Big 12 conference slate.
Rachel, I got two more questions here for you. And I'm sorry I'm keeping you a bit over time, but I love the just the insight that you're giving us, because there are a lot of people who don't know a bunch about Nicki. But with her hiring, it's a culture fit. Baylor is looking for a culture fit through this head coach. And I've seen videos of her leading a Bible study and her talking about faith in the past. And she's got that mantra that, hey, she's going to fit that really strong presence, strong culture, PR. Can you give insight onto that and what she'll do here at Baylor from a culture standpoint?
I think again, I can't speak for Nicki, and I'm excited to listen to her press conference. I've only been able to send a couple text messages. I'm sure her head is spinning at this point, but Nicki knows exactly what she's walking into, and I would say this is no pun intended, a dream opportunity for her in terms of fit. Every coach kind of has that school or that program in their mind that they really feels like is a reflection of them as a person. And I would not be surprised if that's how Nicki feels about Baylor. Just, we from the believer standpoint, from the dominance standpoint, we could go across the board of how this is a great fit for not just her, but for her family. Being a mother, being someone who has spent extensive time in the South and really embraces that. I just think that you're getting someone who, again, is not going to have an ego. She's going to come in and equally embrace Baylor and want to embrace that culture, the people around there. She is so selfless when it comes to her time. She is all about giving her time to, whether it's fans, whether it's media, whether it's her players. It's everything she is about in terms of just being a servant leader. And I think she's going to exemplify that every single day and every decision that she makes. And I think the community's really going to embrace it.
Rachel, last question here before you get to our Bear games, and that's pressure. She's walking into a university at Baylor that it typically ranks in the top 3 in the country in fan attendance. They spend more money than anyone else in the collegiate game on women's basketball, and there is the pressure to win. There are a lot of coaches who wouldn't accept this job because they knew walking in, replacing a legend, it's always the toughest thing to do in sports. But she's taking that on, and there is a lot of pressure that comes with this job. How does Nicki Collen handle pressure?
Oh, man, you're giving me chills. I've got chills thinking about it because I was actually thinking, when Kim Mulkey went on to LSU, I thought to myself, man, that would be so hard to follow her. I mean, can you imagine trying to fill Kim Mulkey's shoes? How do you even comprehend that? And yesterday, I'm going to be completely honest, when I heard the news, my jaw hit the floor, and I think I was in shock for about 5 minutes. And then once I got through the initial wave, I thought to myself, there is not a better person for this opportunity, because I know Nicki is approaching this not from a standpoint of like, how do I tackle this after Kim Mulkey just walked out the door? She's approaching this as, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I know I am more than capable. I was born for this. I was designed for this. This is more than just a couple year thing. This is a destination for me. And I really feel like you're right. The pressure is insurmountable. Like I said, you're giving me chills talking about it, but I think as a coach, this is what you live for. As a competitor, this is what you live for. You live for that once in a lifetime opportunity that most people will never get to experience. And I know she will embrace it 100%. I look at Baylor as continuing to be a top 4 powerhouse for many years to come. And I think that is the expectation, and it should remain the expectation. And I think you've got the coach here who understands what that means. She's going to continue to learn as she gets there and she embraces the community around her. But I think that she's got a really good chance to keep this going. I really do.
Rachel, you returned the favor with the chills. you gave that right back to me with talking about how she's able to handle pressure and come into this job and be successful right away. Well, I want to give you our 2 Bear Games questions of the day. And that first one being, we're Rotten Tomatoes guys here. We've already been through the fact that Paddington 2 has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes for some reason. But 1 to 100, what is your Rotten Tomatoes rating of what Baylor has done with this hire to bring Nicki Collen on staff?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not going to like just be rainbows and cupcakes and just be so ridiculous. I'm super excited about Nicki. I think this is phenomenal. I give it an 85. I think it's a huge win. I think you win the press conference. You get a great fit for your community. I do think there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve there, but nothing that's not manageable. I give it a pretty high rating, 85.
So it's not a Shawshank Redemption or a Paddington 2, but it's like a Saving Private Ryan. This is still a great movie, but not necessarily legendary yet. It's got to get to that point. And then, Rachel, the last question here for you. This one being a little bit more Baylor-centric, but I want to get your outside take on this. And that is, what does Nicki Collen need to do in year 1 with this roster coming back to have sustained success at Baylor?
She's got to get in that locker room and have a deep connection with that roster. It immediately has to be from the start about this team, about these women, about their goals, about their visions, about how they feel. They've been through a lot these last couple of months. This last month, there's a lot of change here. Okay, so how do we harness that energy in the locker room where we are all getting to know each other, we're understanding one another, understand that you're building that trust there, right? You're building that camaraderie. Everyone is starting to learn her, so it has to start. It's like a foundation. And from there, when you get everybody on that page, then you can start to, kind of instill your vision, your culture, the things the expectation. You have to know those goals, those desires, those dreams, what makes people go. You have to build that foundational relationship with this team from the start. And I guarantee you that's the number one thing she's focused on.
I love it. Rachel Galligan, former coach, now an insider for Winsider. Thank you so much for coming on today and giving us perspective inside of Nicki Collen and what she brings to Baylor. This was an absolute pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if you guys ever want me back on, I'm always yours.
Hey, come on with it. We'd love to have you. Thanks again for your perspective, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Again, that was Rachel Galligan of Winsider. She is a former player, Hall of Famer, women's basketball analyst, and gave great insight. Someone that knows Nicki Collen personally. That was spectacular. When we come back, we'll be joined by Morgan Uber of the Big 12. She's a Big 12 digital correspondent. Following her, Mike Neighbors, the head coach of the Arkansas women's basketball team, joins as well. Talking today, Nicki Collen and her hire at Baylor. Don't go anywhere. We'll give you more perspective on what this does for the Big 12 with Nicki Collen coming to Baylor when we come back. This is Uptempo.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Baylor has filled its women's basketball coaching vacancy with 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year and former Atlanta Dream head coach Nicki Collen. The 45-year-old Collen was announced via the women's basketball social media around 6 o'clock last night. Prior to being in Atlanta, the Indiana native played at Purdue and Marquette in the mid-90s. Her coaching career has included stops as an assistant at Colorado State, Ball State, Louisville, Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast, and the Connecticut Sun. Collen has a collective 38-52 record in the WNBA after going 23-11 in her first season as head coach. That season was a massive turnaround for a program that had gone just 12-22 the year prior. Her and her husband Tom, who is also a women's basketball coach, have 3 children. It is expected that Collen will arrive in Waco today, with her opening press conference being scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday in the Farrell Center. Around the High, Our Lady Bear basketball star Nalissa Smith, Queen Egbo, and Caitlin Bickle have all tweeted out messages of support for Collen and the program. It is expected that all 3 athletes will stay with the team next season, and that Alabama transfer Jordan Lewis will likely do the same. Huge news for Collen and the Lady Bears. Outside of women's basketball, the men's tennis team was named the number 2 overall seed in the nation during last night's NCAA selection show. The team will host Alabama, Oregon, and A&M Corpus Christi for the first 2 rounds in Waco. And the women's tennis team earned a 1 seed as the number 8 overall national seed. They will also host rounds 1 and 2 in Waco against Duke, Alabama, and A&M Corpus Christi. Competition for postseason play begins this Saturday and wraps up Sunday. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Nicki Group Insurance Agency. With the Nicki Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Nicki Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Nicki Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
How
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with the kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Dynaguy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears and Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims and Jack McKenzie today, Tuesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, folks. Nicki Collen, the new head coach at Baylor University for the Baylor women's basketball program, and now we bring on Morgan Uber, Big 12 digital correspondent, to talk about it, part of a loaded guest list today to break down Nicki Collen's hire. Morgan, thanks for joining us as always.
Drake, so excited to be a part of this lineup. Thanks for having me. Another week and a whole lot to talk about. So excited to be here.
Pleasure to have you, like I said, as always. And Morgan, today we have you on with a new women's basketball coach here in Waco. Nicki Collen has been announced, and we'll have her opening introductory press conference tomorrow at 2:30 in the Farrell Center. Morgan, your immediate reaction when you saw the tweet break that Nicki Collen was hired at Baylor, what did you think?
Candidly, I was completely surprised, Drake. You know, this was a name that I really hadn't heard much in the coaching search until I was tuning in yesterday to y'all's show. And I know it was a name that was floated earlier that day. So you guys were really the first place, the first source that I heard this from. So, of course, there were a whole lot of names from the college realm that were floating around. But yeah, my initial reaction, I was pretty shocked. But I think this is a slam dunk hire for Baylor by Mac Rhodes, once again, getting it right. And just really excited about, the different perspective that she's going to be able to bring in with WNBA experience. Baylor women's basketball is a blue blood, and the players that come here want to play at that next level. So I think that's going to be a very intriguing perspective, great background that she's going to bring. And it seems like the players, too, are very excited, and this core nucleus is going to stick around as well.
Wow. Morgan, Baylor is hiring a pro. That is something that 20 years ago in any sport, you probably wouldn't be saying at this university. But now, today, Baylor has hired someone from the professional game to coach the women's basketball program. What does that mean? How big is that in perspective of what this does for the university?
I think it's huge. It's big for Baylor. It's big for the Big 12. You look at what she did in her first year with the Atlanta Dream. She ends up winning Coach of the Year, just this immediate hit the ground running, winning season, leads her team to the WNBA semifinals. So this immediate success that she had there, you're hoping as a Baylor fan, as, someone that's part of the Big 12 conference, that immediate success can translate here at the college level as well. And, unquestionably, I think with the players that she has, returning, seeing those tweets from, Nalissa Smith yesterday, excited, ready to get to work. This is a player, this is a team that wants to win a national championship, and they have the talent to do it. And I think they have a coach that can, continue building this right type of culture and is the right fit at this program that can lead them there. I mean, really, she's inheriting top skill, top talent. And, while she's not going to have to change too much, there's still a lot of value that she can bring and add here in her first season. So, I think this is huge, and this is a great hire, and definitely, a little bit different than maybe many of us expected. But, to have head coaching experience at the highest level, it's unique and brings some skills. And I know, people look to, she doesn't have a winning record there in the WNBA, but you think about, I think the one comparison top of mind for me is, neither does Nick Saban in the NFL. And look, he's become one of the most successful college coaches in any sport. So I think for the, naysayers that are, down on that, I wouldn't worry too much about, what her record was at the professional level. I think it's, she's going to be able to come in and treat these players immediately like the highest playing and most talented top tier players in the entire country at the professional level. So I think it's going to be, really great for the conference and great for the university.
Morgan, she walks into a roster that is loaded with Jordan Lewis, Nalissa Smith, who will likely be the National Preseason Player of the Year, Queen Egbo, who is an All-American without a doubt, and then Caitlin Bickle. She's going to have the nucleus of a squad that went to the Elite Eight last season and was one call away from a Final Four. How big is that for a head coach walking in? It's almost as if you're a starting pitcher and your offense gave you 5 runs to start with coming into the game. How big is this roster she's walking into?
It's huge. And I was listening to Rachel Galligan, who was on right before me, big shoes to follow after her. But the one thing that, I don't know too much about Nicki, don't know her personally, but, through that conversation that you had with her, it's clear that she is about people and she gets the best out of her players. So not only is that going to help her, in the recruiting realm, but it's going to help her with this core nucleus, knowing the right buttons to push and all of that. So she brings in, she retains, these players, and for them, to go on Twitter, you mentioned, I had mentioned Nalissa Smith, tweeting time to get to work, Caitlin Bickle also tweeting, Queen Egbo tweeting, these players that are going to stick around. I mean, that says a lot that they're excited too, and that this was the right hire, and, they're looking to, potentially get past the Elite Eight and make a big run. And I do believe that she's going to be able to sustain success there at Baylor and get the job done.
Morgan, this is a tougher question. I know there's a lot of ways you could go with this one as well. When it comes to following a legend, you see it everywhere, whether it be Pat Summitt at Tennessee, Muffet McGraw at Notre Dame, those just being on the women's basketball side. There are plenty on the men's side. North Carolina had a couple of buffer years after Dean Smith. It is just tough to follow a legend. How? What are the keys, the ingredients that Nicki Collen has to do to be able to follow someone like Kim Mulkey and try to win at that rate?
I think Nicki Collen, of course, at the end of the day, she's going to want to do the exact same thing Kim Mulkey did, which is win and be consistent, win the Big 12, win national championships. But I do think she's going to have to bring a bit of her own flair and bring a bit of her own culture in the way that she plays. It sounds like she's a very defensive, minded coach, which is also similar to the same way that Coach Mulkey was, of course, at Baylor. But I do think she's going to have to just be a little bit different, whether that that's her approach to the media and press conferences, whether it's, that culture that she's creating inside the locker room, those are the things that she's going to be able to bring to this program that are different. I mean, following a legend, like Kim Mulkey, I mean, it's a tough shoes, tough task, definitely to follow, but I think this is the right person in the people that I've spoke with and what I've seen on Twitter and social media and in the conversations that I've listened in with experts that know her. I think you couldn't have gotten someone better to follow Kim Mulkey, because of course that's a tough task to follow. But, I think it just speaks volumes that these players want to come back and they want to play for her. But I do think she's going to have to be just a little bit different and bring in her own flair in some way. And I'm really excited. That press conference tomorrow, I think, is the start of that. So really looking forward to hearing her, and we'll learn much more there, I'm sure. With
the players, Morgan, these are not just collegiate athletes, but these are collegiate athletes that have professional aspirations. They're the best at what they do in their respective games at the collegiate level. How, if you're Nicki Collen, how do you win the locker room day one?
I think just her background and where she's coming from. You mentioned these players, they have aspirations. If you're coming to Baylor playing on this women's basketball team, you want to play at the highest level. And it's clear that there's been a culture of that and consistency of that over the past, 20 years. So with her experience, I mean, she knows what it takes to play there and have success there, and has managed, these players at the highest level. So I think, gaining trust of the players isn't going to be too difficult. I think, that's a big thing that makes her different. And you ask how, you follow in the footsteps of a legend. And again, I think she's just going to have to be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, there's one goal. There's, one goal in mind, and that's to win a national championship and have success in the Big 12.
I love it. Morgan, we do have someone who just commented. Ryan says Chrislyn Carr and Kamaria McDaniel have also made posts on Twitter about this hire. So it sounds like that nucleus is going to stay put. She met with the team today, and it sounds like the team is enjoying this as well. So that is something that kind of shocks me. I thought that no matter who the hire was, that there'd be a lot more that would follow Kim Mulkey to LSU.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at first, when the news first came out about Coach Mulkey leaving, I did think, okay, well, there goes, your preseason player of the year, Alyssa Smith. But I think the fact that they did bring in the right person that has this WNBA experience. I mean, Alyssa Smith, that's where she wants to be when this is all said and done next season. Hopefully, after raising the trophy, playing for Nicki Collen. And I do think she's going to have a very interesting dynamic in the way that she's going to be able to recruit. But for her in this first year, it's kind of plug and play. I mean, she has the top talent in the country. These are Kim Mulkey's players, but that makes me really excited to hear that the team's excited. I hadn't seen that yet, but that she had been able to meet with the team. So very excited for them. And this is a slam dunk hire.
Morgan, I've asked this question to all of our guests so far, and our callers as well. JD and I talked about it in the first hour of the show, and I want to know from your perspective, because all of the responses have been different. But when it comes to next season with this group back, is there a certain checkpoint? Are there certain boxes that she needs to check that just signify success next season?
Knowing fans of Baylor women's basketball, I think it'll be a disappointment if they don't win the Big 12. But I think at the same time, in year one, I don't think that's going to be too difficult for them to do just because of the talent they do have coming back. So in year one, I think she has to win the Big 12 in order to kind of gain this, trust and, the fans, really respecting and liking her. Unfortunately, it's going to to be really tough, in year one to do with. I do think it's going to be a very competitive league with a whole lot of parity next year with the talent that's coming back. But I do think, too, it's not just going to be win the Big 12, but it's going to be, make it to the Sweet 16, win in the Sweet 16, make it to the Elite Eight. I do think, it's in year one, she needs to make it at least to the Elite Eight based on the talent that they have coming back. And then after that, I do think year two, year three, when she's recruiting her own players, maybe at least finish first, if not second in the Big 12, in order to consider it a success. So that's the bar is set extremely high, but that's, no surprise to her. She knows that, she said at the end of the day that this is the top coaching job in women's college basketball, and, maybe UConn fans weren't too excited to hear that, but definitely, she knows that the bar is set very high, and I think her, expectations are right there with it. So, yeah.
Morgan, with that, when it comes to probably the biggest recruiting job she's going to have to do early on, especially, and that comes with keeping Satia Messer and keeping Bill Brock on staff and in Waco with her. How big of a key is that if you are Nicki Collen?
I think it's huge. I think those two, have added so more value than probably any of us realize or recognize from just everything that goes into coaching, the recruiting side of things. I mean, they know how to recruit in the state of Texas and keep, the play. I mean, obviously we know the state of Texas has some of the top talent, and I think they really do have to, keep that locked down. And these are two assistants that they know how to do that. So I'm very interested to see in this staff that she's able to get. And I think it begins with keeping Messer and Brock around. If you can keep one, if not both around, that's huge for her. And I think that's another piece of success that you can look at, immediately what she did in year one and check that box. But, interested to see how she fills out the rest of her staff. But I do think it'll be, from what I've been reading and hearing, mostly in the college realm of things rather than at the pro level, which, I do think that's probably a plus and a good thing. So, in order for this program to have immediate success off the bat, I think you got to keep both of them around.
Morgan, when it comes to the fraternity of Big 12 women's basketball coaches, because it has only gotten better with Vic Schaefer going to Texas, there's been Kim Mulkey there. You had Sherry Cole at Oklahoma, and then Mike Carey, what he's done at West Virginia, Bill Fennelly at Iowa State, Reagan Pebley at TCU too. I mean, the list goes on. The fraternity continues to grow. Adding now a professional in Nicki Collen to that list. Where does that name fall? I mean, is this a really big add for the Big 12 conference as a whole?
It is. It's tough, from my perspective to sit here and rank our coaches. I think each of them, brings, a great value and definitely, in the room right now. I know our men and women's basketball coaches meetings and our football coaches meetings are going on this week for the Big 12 conference. So, this is a respectable name that you're adding to, that core group. And I think it is interesting and what the perspective that she's going to be able to bring in. She was an assistant at the college level, but having 3 years in the WNBA, she was a part of that, wobble, I guess you could call it, last year during COVID. And, just what she went through there. I mean, at the college level, we've experienced it firsthand, of course, too. But I just think, she's gone through maybe, different circumstances of adversity and will be able to bring some interesting conversations to the room. So it's going to be, I'm sure, all of our coaches, respect the heck out of each other, I know. And this is another one that you'll just be able to add to that room, a voice that's going to carry a lot of weight. And when she talks, I'm sure people are going to listen. So excited to, meet her soon. And again, I'm very eager to hear that introductory press conference tomorrow and how she approaches the media and Baylor fans.
Morgan, I want to spend the last couple of minutes here talking about Baylor on the diamond, Because, the Nicki Collen hire, which we've talked about all day today, is huge. But we also got to mention Baylor softball just got a sweep of Kansas. Baylor baseball faces Kansas State in Waco this weekend. On top of that, you also have Baylor softball facing Texas in a huge, huge Big 12 matchup. And the men's tennis team's the number 2 overall seed in the nation in the national tournament. Women's tennis, number 8. Other sports are going on. Other things are going on around here, too, as well. Starting in baseball, though, Morgan, Baylor baseball has kind of come out of nowhere, and here they are with a shot at sweeping Kansas State, building their rankings even further, and maybe, if things go right down the stretch, hosting a regional.
Yeah, I think, when we spoke last week, it's pretty crazy. When we talked on Wednesday, here we are now, Tuesday, Baylor hasn't played a game. So they'll have been on this, 10-day stretch, 10-day break. It'll be interesting to see, how they can carry that momentum forward after they were able to beat Texas Tech, winning 2 out of 3 there in Lubbock. When you have that momentum, I'm sure Coach Rodriguez and his guys, they didn't want to stop playing because that's something that they wanted to carry forward. So how does a 10-day break, how will that fare? We saw with men's basketball, not too well. It took a little bit to get their legs back under them. So sure hoping that that's not the case with this baseball team. But, K-State, you got to look, they're on a streak of their own right now, Drake. They've won 6 straight games. This is a great team as well, who also took the Texas Tech series. They won 2 out of 3. So Baylor, they're going to be going up against some talented pitching. Of course, Jordan Wicks, the big name, Casey Ford, and they'll also be facing a very talented lineup. Most notably, Chris Ceballos is a name to keep your eye on. He just won Big 12 Player of the Week. He had his first career Grand Slam last week. Just an outstanding week, not against Big 12 foes, though. So it'll be interesting in facing this hot Baylor team. How strong does K-State look? 2 programs that I think have gotten hot down the stretch. But I think, with the way that things are working out this year with the regional host sites, typically it's announced Memorial Day weekend, but because of needing to create testing sites at these regionals, it's actually going to be the week of May 10th when those sites are determined. So I think Baylor's running a little bit out of time. Unfortunately, you wish this was a year when you had all the way till Memorial Day weekend to impress for a regional. But it's looking like right now, the only 2 Big 12 teams, how it stands, that, we'd have regionals in Austin and in Fort Worth. So with TCU and Texas hosting, which is still great for the conference. But, again, I think it was just a little bit too late for Baylor to sneak their way in there. But, down the stretch, I think they are capable of winning these last 3 series that they have on their schedule remaining with K-State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. So a team that's gotten hot at the right time. And we'll see how they look on Friday against K-State.
I wasn't ready for this. I certainly did not expect Baylor baseball to make the run that they've made, especially after losing that series against UT Rio Grande Valley to start the year. Morgan, along with that, the softball team, now number 3 in the Big 12 after Texas was swept and Baylor got the sweep this last weekend. They're coming down to this, certainly their biggest series of the season this weekend in Austin and in Waco as they split the series up with UT.
Yeah, again, another, Baylor team that's just impressed down the stretch. It was interesting to see how things shook out for them on Saturday with the rain delay, and then having to make up that game or, finish it out on Sunday playing the doubleheader with the Jayhawks. They had the tying run there on second, and then all of a sudden just suspended, due to the rain there, but ended up coming out, getting back-to-back wins there on Sunday to defeat Kansas. And, again, this is, they are 3rd in the standings, but it's going to come down to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, a Bedlam series. It's going to determine the Big 12 champion. But I do think it's putting Baylor in a great position if they can, potentially take down Texas, where they're going to end up playing here in the Big 12 championship, which we're just a little bit over 2 weeks away from that. So, I think they can kind of ride the momentum that they created for themselves this past weekend. And, Texas is a little bit down after they just had a series sweep against Oklahoma State. So maybe they're catching the Longhorns here at the right time.
Morgan, I've got to throw this little curveball at you here because I know we didn't really talk about this before the interview, but Baylor men's and women's tennis right now, the men's team, number 2 overall in the nation, they're going to host a regional coming up this weekend, and the women's team, number 8 in the country. They're also going to host a regional. Oddly enough, Alabama and Texas A&M Corpus Christi, both of those schools on the men's and women's side are both coming to Waco to compete in those. But how neat is it from a Big 12 perspective to have two teams like Baylor men's and women's tennis host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament this year?
It's great. And just the way that things shook out, for both of these programs in the Big 12 tournament, the Baylor men being able to finish on top in the successful season that they had, and the Baylor women, did fall short to Texas. But, two programs that have sustained great success this season in, conference play and in the regular season. And for them to have the opportunity to host, the home court advantage worked really well for the men there down the stretch of the Big 12 championship. So, it's great to see we have 12 combined teams for the men's and women's tennis programs that are playing in the NCAA tournament for tennis. So it's huge for us to have that many programs represented, and great to see Baylor hosting.
They sure are. Morgan Bear Games questions of the day today when it comes to the hire of Nicki Collen. We've been putting on Rotten Tomatoes, 1 to 100. And I know that makes it tough because nobody wants to be the 100 guy, but we've had plenty of them today. When you think about, from your perspective, and adding Collen into this fraternity of Big 12 coaches, where do you fall on that 1 to 100 scale?
Gosh, it's close to 100 for me. I'll give it a 90. We'll see, what happens with Messer and Brock. If she can convince them, to stick around, then let's go ahead and I'll give it a 98 if that's the case. But, from just, again, listening into Rachel Galligan talk so highly of her, we saw her success, as a coach and what she's been able to do, but hearing also how she is, as a person, that got me really excited about the kind of person that she is. So I'll give it a 90 for now. And then, if she's able to keep those two around, I'll bump it up to a 98.
I love it. Morgan, thank you so much for coming on the show today. As always, pleasure to have you get your perspective on what Baylor gets in having Nicki Collen on the sidelines next season. Again, an absolute pleasure.
Drake, always love being on. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, again, that was Morgan Huber, Big 12 digital correspondent. Works for the league in the offices and giving us perspective on what this hire means for Baylor University. And speaking of this Nicki Collen hire, we're going to be joined up next by Mike Neighbors, the head coach of the University of Arkansas. He knocked off Kim Mulkey in Baylor last year, and he knocked off Gino Auriemma and UConn. And he's also got great perspective on Nicki Collen. Her husband, Tom, coached at the University of Arkansas for 8 seasons. That was well prior to Mike Neighbors being hired at the school. But I do want to show this video that was on Twitter today. This is Nicki Collen stepping off the plane in Wake. There it is, a little quick hitter right there. The arrival, the 7-day awaited arrival of the new women's basketball coach here in Waco, Nicki Collen of the Atlanta Dream, now of your Baylor Lady Bears. When we come back from this break, it is Mike Neighbors' time. He's going to join us via the phone line to talk Nicki Collen, what Baylor's getting, and how this impacts the realm of collegiate basketball. Because, well, it's regional. Arkansas is right there, and I can guarantee you Mike Neighbors is going to have to deal with Nicki Collen, have a run-in with her over the next 3 years or so. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie as well. When we come back, we're joined by the University of Arkansas head women's basketball coach Mike Neighbors. Don't go anywhere. This is Up-Tempo.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Baylor has filled its women's basketball coaching vacancy with 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year and former Atlanta Dream head coach Nicki Collen. The 45-year-old Collen was announced via the women's basketball social media around 6 o'clock last night. Prior to being in Atlanta, the Indiana native played at Purdue and Marquette in the mid-90s. Her coaching career has included stops as an assistant at Colorado State, Ball State, Louisville, Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast, and the Connecticut Sun. Collen has a collective 38-52 record in the WNBA after going 23-11 in her first season as head coach. That season was a massive turnaround for a program that had gone just 12-22 the year prior. Her and her husband Tom, who is also a women's basketball coach, have 3 children. It is expected that Collen will arrive in Waco today, with her opening press conference being scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday in the Farrell Center. Around the High, Our Lady Bear basketball star Nalissa Smith, Queen Egbo, and Caitlin Bickle have all tweeted out messages of support for Collen and the program. It is expected that all 3 athletes will stay with the team next season, and that Alabama transfer Jordan Lewis will likely do the same. Huge news for Collen and the Lady Bears. Outside of women's basketball, the men's tennis team was named the number 2 overall seed in the nation during last night's NCAA selection show. The team will host Alabama, Oregon, and A&M Corpus Christi for the first 2 rounds in Waco. And the women's tennis team earned a 1 seed as the number 8 overall national seed. They will also host rounds 1 and 2 in Waco against Duke, Alabama, and A&M Corpus Christi. Competition for postseason play begins this Saturday and wraps up Sunday. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
The Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels has special pricing on the new 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Or a special deal on a new 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited with total values of $7,000 or 0% for 72 months. It's the Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels, the best place to find your new vehicle. Located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
I got breaking news here. We got Western Athletic Conference just announced they're adding several schools.
The WAC.
The WAC.
Okay. Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
I think Coach Gundy would be like my guy that I would just like just the hair. Yeah. I just want to be able to see it flow when I kind of slam his arm down.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'll tell you what, it is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And I know this guy got on the line right now. When I say the words, May the 4th be with you, it means a little bit of something. This is Mike Neighbors, the head women's basketball coach at the University of Arkansas. May 4th, Coach. How about it?
lot of happenings going on. Star Wars, National Concert Day, all kinds of this stuff going on. New coach at Baylor, all kinds of big stuff.
Whoa, you're telling me that Baylor got a new women's basketball coach. You got to enlighten me a bit on that one.
I'm sure you guys have been all over the top of that, but I just read it on Twitter, so it must be true.
It's got to be true. And, Coach, I sent you a message over the weekend and said, hey, we're hearing these murmurs about Nicki Collen. This was probably on Sunday, and you've got a lot of perspective. Obviously, her husband was the head coach at Arkansas for years prior to Dykes, and you're an Arkansas guy. You followed them for so long. This is not a name that you're unfamiliar with.
Oh, no, Nicki from even, back in her playing days. Remember how scrappy she was as a player, and then when she came here with Tom, I was actually on the same staff with them for about 2 weeks before I went to Xavier and started coaching up there. But, know the family well, know Tom, know Nicki, and you guys y'all are adding a great piece to your university.
Coach, when it comes to what Nicki Collen brings to the table, there are a lot of fans out there. The casual fan may not have heard of her, and we asked a guest earlier to give us just an overall overview perspective of what she brings to the table. So when you hear the name, Coach Nicki Collen, what do you think?
Just the number of places she's been experienced in as a player, as a coach, at the level she's been at. She played at one level. She's coached at the pro level. She's been every single level of basketball. So been around the game, been around a lot of great players, been in the proximity, and everybody's like, oh, she hadn't called a timeout. It doesn't take you very long to figure out when you need to call a timeout. So that's way overrated when it comes to that. She's been in a lot of big games, around a lot of success, and you're gonna see that really quickly from the first time you meet her.
Coach, when it comes to recruiting, we had a guest earlier, too, that talked about international recruiting that Collen is familiar with, but that has been the big question. Moving from the WNBA, where it's drafting and free agency, to the collegiate game, where you've got to go out, hit the ground running, and find players through pipelines to come to your school. What is her experience? I mean, is this somebody that Baylor's getting that is raw when it comes to the recruiting game?
Nah, not at all. No, she's been in the stands. She knows how to evaluate, and recruiting is just all about building relationships. And you don't have to have had those relationships prior to getting the job. When she walks in with Baylor on her chest and that green and gold, and they'll be prominently displayed, she's going to have immediate credibility. She can connect to a variety of players, whether that's international or in the state of Texas, right around your area. She's got an ability to be magnetic to whoever that she's zeroed in on, and got a good eye for basketball. She's seen it. She knows what it takes to get to all those different levels. So just because maybe she hasn't been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years, I guarantee you she hadn't forgot what it looks like.
Coach, for a coach that comes from Purdue, Marquette, Ball State, Colorado State, Louisville, Arkansas herself, Florida Gulf Coast, Connecticut, Atlanta, I don't see Texas anywhere in that list. How tough is it going to be for her to build that Texas pipeline while here at Baylor?
Well, I mean, it's, you got your work cut out for you now with all the other schools that try to come into the state to recruit. I mean, Texas is known as a hotbed, so every program in the South, and really the good ones across the country, even the top programs in the country will come in there trying to, recruit the talent. But she's got her work cut out for her. There's no question. You got Vic Schaefer over at Texas. You got Coach Blair still doing his thing at A&M, and Houston's rolling. Coach Huey's doing a good job down the road at Houston, and Rice has got a great program. You got Stephen. There's just so many good college basketball programs in the state. You've got to come in there and develop your own identity, and I think that's what everybody's going to be anxious to see is what type of identity will they build there.
And, Fayetteville and Coach Mike Neighbors are not too far away from Waco, too. Those territories cross paths here, there every now and then, Coach. I know that as well. With this hire, the question's been brought up. There is a vast difference in being a head coach in the WNBA and being a head coach in collegiate basketball, and that's just anything when it comes to college based on college to pro. When it comes to the fact that Nicki Collen has yet to be a head coach in the collegiate game, does that give you any reservations about this hire?
Nah, not at all. Like I said, you learn when to stand up and sit down. I've been an assistant coach for 14 years, and everybody said the same things. Never called a timeout. You figure that out pretty quick, and if you don't, just listen to your fans. They'll tell you, maybe you have to listen to them for the first year or so till you figure it out. But no, she's the WNBA is a microcosm of what we do at the college level. There's some small changes, but again, you're talking about somebody that's around the game 24/7 and talks the game and knows the game. So there's not going to be a learning curve in there. And I still have to ask our scores table sometimes whether we got a media timeout coming. I've been doing this for 21 years, so the people can relax. They've got somebody. Mac Rhodes has been around. He's been around a lot of women's programs. He knows what he's looking for, and he's not going to bring somebody in that's going to have any type of a learning curve. Nicki Collen will be ready from the day y'all have that press conference till they tip it off. You can rest assured you're going to have a proven, ready to go coach.
Coach, along with that, I know you and I had conversation about Molly Miller being in that mix. Joni Taylor at Georgia, who she's very happy at Georgia, just that new contract extension to Dia Barnes, who you know well. When it comes to that list of coaches that were in there, I know specifically Molly Miller was that big one who doesn't have experience at the Division I level. When you compare what it would have been like bringing in someone that doesn't have that experience to someone like Nicki Collen with a decade of experience, is that going to benefit Baylor in the long run, the fact that they went with someone who has that pedigree?
Well, I think since you're talking about not very many jobs, Drake, not very many jobs open up that the program's in good shape. Okay? Jobs usually open for the different reason, They open because the program's at the bottom. You're talking about a team that's 1 year removed from the national championship. You got a team that's got the returning Wade Trophy winners. So I think what you're going to get is you're going to get a faster learning curve. There's not going to be any of that to that. Molly Miller is going to be an icon in our game for a long time. I mean, she's got a long career ahead of her. But with Nicki, I think you can expect things to happen faster. You're going to hear that. I'm sure in her press conference, there's not going to be this plan for the future unveiled. It's going to be planned for what happens this year. The expectation there is to win Big 12 championships and win national championships. So I think in Nicki, you've got somebody that's going to have some confidence from day one, and there's just not going to be anything that she's not ready for.
For those that are just joining us, Coach Mike Neighbors of the University of Arkansas women's basketball program joining the show today. Coach, when it comes to adapting to a roster, she's walking into a program that has Queen Egbo, now Jordan Lewis from Alabama, Nalissa Smith, Caitlin Bickle, Chrislyn Carr. The list goes on at the nucleus that is staying in Waco with Nicki Collen. And people expect her to win now. How will she adapt to this roster? Is she a coach that is adaptable?
Sure. Yeah, that's what the pros adapt every year. They change their roster through the draft. So I don't think it's going to be any transition time for her. She's got all summer to do it. You're talking about a group of veterans. I'm really glad that the Big 12 SEC Challenge is not a home-and-home deal, so we don't have to come down there to the Farrell Center and return that game this year because, I think you're talking about a team that in the preseason, if they're not inside the top 5 or 6, I'll be shocked. So I think with that level of expectation, she's going to sense it. She's going to know it, but again, she's been dealing with adult players, adult egos. So I don't think there's any question that you got a team that's going to be picked there, and everybody's going to expect to finish there.
When it comes to style of play in the collegiate game and what Nicki Collen and Tom Collin have been known to do, Kim Mulkey emphasized defense. It was defense, rebounding, find the post. For Nicki Collen, is this going to change? Is she a jack up threes? Let's go 90-0. What are we getting from a philosophy or style of play standpoint that you know?
Well, from what I've seen, she's going to adapt to the personnel that you have. I don't think there's going to be one way every year, one way. It's going to be what's best for the roster that you're able to put together. She was Tom's defensive coach for a number of years up here at Arkansas. She specialized on that side of the ball, but Tom's been a pick and roll guy a large part of his career, and because of the players that they've had, that's been what they've run. But I think you're going to see your best players be highlighted, your best shooters are going to get the most open shots. Your best post players are going to get the most touches on the block, and they will guard you. I don't expect that'll change. That's been a fabric for who they've both been. And even though Tom's, maybe not in coaching, obviously they talk ball all the time. I've been around them enough to see them, the way they talk basketball when they're around, not around the gym. So I'd expect to see a variety of offensive looks to highlight the players you mentioned earlier. But I do think defense is still going to be a pillar of their program.
Coach, when it comes not just to putting it out on the court from a coaching standpoint and implementing your own style, you've got to do that through your assistants as well. The fraternity of collegiate coaches and what she's built in the WNBA, she has those connections. You got Bill Brock and Satia Messer, too, that she'll try to recruit to stay on staff here at Baylor. What are keys to success when it comes to naming assistants for a coach like Nicki Collen?
Yeah, she's going to know exactly what she's looking for. She knows where her strengths and weaknesses lay, and she'll fill in the gaps with her assistants. And, that's the next most thing. After you recruit, hiring your staff that's going to make you sleep well at night, people that you can trust, that are very, very skilled. Because, again, you're bringing in the top players in the country. If you bring somebody in that doesn't know what they're talking about, those players will sniff that out in a hurry. So Nicki's well connected. Tom is as well. She'll have unlimited resources, I'm sure, just from judging in the past what they've done. And she'll put together a staff that's going to be important to her as a person and then important to the players as a program. So, it's going to be fun to see what she's able to do. And our game's a lot better having she and Tom back in the game for sure.
Coach, you just mentioned that the game gets better with having her back in the game in collegiate basketball, and I want to go right there. When you think about I'm sure Big 12 coaches that thought, okay, finally, Kim Mulkey's gone from Baylor. Yeah. Maybe there's a shot for us to – Fennelly said it a couple years ago, every team in the Big 12 starts 0-2, because you got to play Baylor twice. Is this a break? Did Big 12 coaches in this region, including yourself, did you guys get a break with Baylor hiring Nicki Collen?
No chance. No, I think we were all hopeful, but like I said, anybody that knew Mack Rhodes' background and how important a value he puts on women's basketball, you knew that it was just going to be a reload type situation. Now, obviously, there's a transition period, and you never know you can't predict what's going to happen. But I do know that I don't think anybody's going to change their preseason picks based on the recent announcement with Nicki and them coming to town. I would expect Baylor and will be picked toward the top, if not the top again this year with everybody and everything they've done in the offseason.
Coach, I got two last questions here for you before we hit our Bear games today. And this first one being kind of on board with Kim Mulkey. I want to know for you, you're now going to have to compete with Mulkey a time or two, even more, every single season with her being at LSU. What does that mean for the SEC as a league, and what were your reactions to that move being made?
Well, it raised our average salary pool an awful lot. We're all very thankful for that. I was hoping to be able to retire 1-0 against Coach Mulkey. That was going to be kind of maybe something on my headstone, but obviously now there's a chance of playing them a couple or three times a year. But I think it just, again, it adds another Hall of Fame coach into that room that I get nervous walking into every time when I see Don Staley and Gary Blair and everybody that's in that room that's won national championships. So it just, iron sharpens iron, so we got to get better. And but like I said, it just makes our league, again, gets you prepared for the NCAA tournament. It's a grind for 16 games, and having her in the league will make our league better as well. There's no question.
Coach, last question for you here before our Bear games, and that is Kim Mulkey is a legend in her own respect. She has built a brand for herself at Baylor University, and there is no Baylor women's basketball as a powerhouse without Kim Mulkey. That's gone. Following a legend is one of the toughest things that you can do in any sport. How does Nicki Collen follow the legend that is Kim Mulkey at Baylor?
I think you got to do it quick. They're going to be expected to win the Big 12 next year. I think you got to go out and do that from the very beginning. And if you don't, then you got to dig your heels in and get it done quick, because the expectation is there. That's what following the legend knows. Nicki knows that. She knows full well what's been accomplished there. But, you know, I think the other part is, as a coach, it's about those players. You know, you can know everything you need to know and do all the things you need to do from the side, but if the players, if you don't have the Nylistas, the Queens, all the people that you've mentioned, and the players they've had in the past, those things don't happen. So that's going to be the key to it. Her surrounding herself on her staff with the right people and the people in that locker room, and they built a national brand. So you're not going to see me all of a sudden changing my preseason picks for where Baylor lands just because there's a new name on the head coach line. So it's going to be exciting. It is an earthquake in our game. We've never had a coach leave a national championship team for another team. So maybe it's a sign of growth. I don't know. We'll look back on it in 5 years, Drake, and we'll see. We'll have a reunion 5 years on May 4th from now. What do you think?
I think we might as well just do that, especially if Nicki Collen has taken 5 national championships in that span, but all against Arkansas, obviously. We want you in that title game.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Coach, Bear Games questions today. We got 2 for you here. I know you're a big movie buff, and we're doing some Rotten Tomatoes ratings today, 1 to 100.
Okay.
We've had like the Sixth Sense is like an 85, and so a lot of folks have given the Nicki Collen higher around an 85. We've had a couple hundreds. Paddington 2 is a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. We found that out today. For you, your Rotten Tomato listing of the Nicki Collen hire at Baylor.
I don't know. Is high numbers bad, though, isn't it?
High numbers are good. It keeps the tomato intact. Anything under 50 and the tomato is squashed. Over 50, tomato good.
Oh, I think you got to be way over that. You've not done anything to put a blemish on the tomato. You would still buy it at your local supermarket. It's just got a different name on it. It's the same Baylor program. I think you'll see some slight changes, but I don't think you change the expectation level. So whatever the best rating it could get would be on there. I haven't seen Paddington 2, but I'm guessing it must not be worth watching.
Paddington 2 is a 100, and that's a good thing. I don't know how. Right.
Okay.
It is the 100 perfect tomato, and the Sixth Sense is 85. One can only infer what that means about Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, well, the Sixth Sense you can't rewatch because once you see it, you kind of know how you're watching. It changes the way you watch the rest of the movie. So I'm sure the rewatchability hurts that one. But, I think you guys, I think Rotten Tomato wise, you don't have to worry about anything going rotten right there.
She's a great tomato. Nicki Collen's a great
tomato. There you go.
She's Paddington too. And then last question, Coach. You got that core coming back, that nucleus of players, Melissa Smith in there as well, and probably the preseason National Player of the Year. And with that, where does Nicki Collen need to end up in year number 1? Checkpoint she needs to hit year number 1 to have sustained success at Baylor.
I think you're playing on the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. The sweet, once you get to that second weekend, crazy things can happen, but you got to get to that second weekend and maybe beyond. That's just the standard of excellence that's been set there. I think a Big 12 championship. I think a strong preseason has got to be in place with success in the recruiting classes. But that'd be the barometer. I'm sure that she's set for herself. That's what every coach does, and maybe slides the scale down a little bit. We're not all talking about being preseason ranked in the top 5, but that's where this thing's starting. So I would expect she's got very, very high standards, and I think y'all will hear that when you get a chance to hear from her. Is the press conference today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow at 2:30. Tomorrow at 2:30 on ESPN+. So she's landed today in Waco, and she'll meet with the media at around 2:30 tomorrow.
All right. Well, whoever's got your best lacrosse team in town better get ready because she's got some twins that are some stud lacrosse players, so they better get ready.
Oh, man. We're going to have to start a lacrosse team as well. That's what I'm hearing.
There you go.
We're going to have to start a lacrosse team. Coach, from Cabot High School to Tulsa to Colorado to the Seattle area and then up-tempo today. Thanks for joining us.
You got it, Drake.
Always a pleasure. That was Mike Neighbors, the head coach of the University of Arkansas women's basketball team, talking about Nicki Collen and what that hire means for Baylor University. And, well, you heard it from him that the college game got better. The region got better, and there is no dip when it comes to Nicki Collen being the head coach at Baylor will still be the powerhouse that it has been with this hire. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie. When we come back, Grayson Gruntafer joins us for the big board. We're talking some Baylor recruiting and Baylor football and Baylor basketball and a little bit more on Nicki Collen and this hire at the university. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Baylor has filled its women's basketball coaching vacancy with 2018 WNBA Coach of the Year and former Atlanta Dream head coach Nicki Collen. The 45-year-old Collen was announced via the women's basketball social media around 6 o'clock last night. Prior to being in Atlanta, the Indiana native played at Purdue and Marquette in the mid-90s. Her coaching career has included stops as an assistant at Colorado State, Ball State, Louisville, Arkansas, Florida Gulf Coast, and the Connecticut Sun. Collen has a collective 38-52 record in the WNBA after going 23-11 in her first season as head coach. That season was a massive turnaround for a program that had gone just 12-22 the year prior. Her and her husband Tom, who is also a women's basketball coach, have 3 children. It is expected that Collen will arrive in Waco today, with her opening press conference being scheduled for 2:30 in the afternoon on Wednesday in the Farrell Center. Around the High, Our Lady Bear basketball star Nalissa Smith, Queen Egbo, and Caitlin Bickle have all tweeted out messages of support for Collen and the program. It is expected that all 3 athletes will stay with the team next season, and that Alabama transfer Jordan Lewis will likely do the same. Huge news for Collen and the Lady Bears. Outside of women's basketball, the men's tennis team was named the number 2 overall seed in the nation during last night's NCAA selection show. The team will host Alabama, Oregon, and A&M Corpus Christi for the first 2 rounds in Waco. And the women's tennis team earned a 1 seed as the number 8 overall national seed. They will also host rounds 1 and 2 in Waco against Duke, Alabama, and A&M Corpus Christi. Competition for postseason play begins this Saturday and wraps up Sunday. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Nicki Group Insurance Agency. With the Nicki Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers. You get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Nicki Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Nicki Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing.
And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Penny Clinic Low T Bears Den. Big board time. Pew, 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 pew.
Let's do it.
We need like an intro. You know what? I just had an idea. An intro video for the big board.
I agree.
An intro video. We should do that sooner than later.
Walking in Waco.
Walking in Waco, intro video, big board, bam.
Or you just had that idea right now?
Yeah, I just had the idea of an intro video for the big board. We should probably do that. We should get on that. We should hire some interns. We should do some callbacks.
There's literally a work in progress on that right now.
Seriously.
Perfect.
The big board? Aim for the state of the SicEm?
Yeah.
There we go.
My goodness. Gee darn. So today there's a new women's basketball coach in town. Immediate thoughts? What say? I know the forum's blowing up. What say you about this?
Yeah, I really like this hire, actually. I think it's definitely a kind of a shocking one, and I understand why people were kind of like, who's that, and why did they decide to go that direction? But I think overall, what I wanted was a coach who I feel like is going to come to Baylor and have the opportunity to build her own legacy and build her path at Baylor. And my big thing was age. Age was a big thing for me. And Nicki, 45 years old, that's a very solid age where she could be at Baylor for 20 years and not really sweat it. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool to see that upside and something I really wanted to see out of Baylor's next coach. And that's exactly what they got. How's she going to do at the college level? I think that's to be determined, but I do think overall you can tell she's a good coach, successful somewhat with the Atlanta Dream, and then obviously has some assistant college coaching experience as well.
Well, I definitely think what's so odd about it in this coaching hire is it's reminiscent for me of when Mac hired the tennis coach, when he hired Brian Boland, because you haven't really heard of the person, but then you're like, oh, they're good. Like you're really excited about their success and their potential for success.
Oh, Drake, you know that Coach Boland had 6 national championships before he came to Baylor. He was literally the Nick Saban of
but
men's tennis.
Did you know his name before they? See what I'm saying?
That's because of the sport, for sure. I would have said.
Same in women's basketball. Yeah. Name 5 collegiate women's basketball coaches right now.
Oh, Kim Mulkey.
Gino Auriemma.
Tara Vanderveer.
Nice job. Stanford.
Muffet McGraw.
Nope, she's retired.
Oh, she's retired, so she didn't count. Vic Schaefer.
Nice.
Vic Schaefer.
We're almost.
Yeah, it was impressive, and now I'm forgetting the coach at South Carolina. Oh,
Don Staley.
Don Staley. Golly. Well, anyways, my point with that was she hasn't won at the level of Coach Boland. I would have said more Matt Rule is actually who I would have said. A losing record coming in, you're kind of like, does this fit culturally? But I think at the end of the day, Mack Rhoades decided to make this hire, and it just screams to me Matt Rule. It just seems very similar.
It does. I concur with that, and Matt Rule is a good coach. I can prove that, even though Twitter will disagree with me. But it's the same as when this conversation started about who it was going to be. Molly Miller. I didn't know who Molly Miller was 2 weeks ago. I didn't know who Megan Duffy was. I didn't all these names. Like if they would have hired Adia Barnes, like, hey, you look at me 2 weeks ago in the eyes and say Baylor just hired Adia Barnes.
Who?
Great. Thanks. Great job, Mack Rhoades, I guess. It's the fact that, like, wow, well, everybody's kind of caught off guard by this. Well, you were probably going to be caught off guard anyway. So
yeah, I agree with that. And I think
that's not at you. That's at everyone.
No, I know. Yeah. And I mean, if you see the backlash on the people that do have a problem with it on the board and things like that, it's one of those things where you were going to be upset if it wasn't the person you wanted.
If it wasn't Molly Miller, you were going to be mad.
Yeah, or just say it. Adia Barnes or whatnot.
Yeah. Right. Because people, just the infatuation that came about with Molly Miller, and that was
all because of you.
I am not going to lie. We created a monster.
You did.
We created a monster. I told JD, Molly Miller owes this show
an appearance.
When she we'll get Molly Miller on. We're in talks about that. But not only that, she owes, like, when she signs her contract to be the head coach at Texas or Oklahoma State or wherever she goes, she owes me a steak.
Wow.
She owes we're all going to go out to dinner because
oh my gosh,
with the hype around Molly Miller that came from she watched it too. She had to have seen that video. If you're a coach, think about it. If you're a coach at Division II level or at Grand Canyon, and all of a sudden, Alabama football, you're a football coach,
right?
Alabama football radio in Tuscaloosa starts talking about you nonstop, posting about you nonstop. You're telling me that you at Grand Canyon are not going to look at that stuff?
Well, it's like Chad Morris. It's like Chad Morris to Baylor. You remember that?
Yeah. Don't do that, though.
That was a big thing, too.
The one person that wanted Chad Morris at Baylor was Chad Morris.
No, you should have seen. Well, yeah, he loved it. But there were people that legitimately were like all in on Chad Morris and were upset when it wasn't Chad Morris.
Right. You can create a name.
Oh, yeah.
You can create a name of a football coach. Thank God it wasn't Chad Morris. That worked out at Arkansas. But I think Molly Miller's name across women's college basketball at the Baylor level has now been created. It's now been solidified.
Yeah.
So
that she's probably going to get her next job is going to be a Power 5 job.
Maybe a steak's coming. Maybe a steak's coming because, like I said, you're a coach at GC. Alabama radio is talking about you. I'm looking at it. Maybe it's just me, though. Maybe it's just me. Elsewhere around there, Kristlyn Carr staying, Queen Egbo staying, Melissa Smith staying, Caitlin Bickle staying. Sounds like Jordan Lewis is probably going to stay too. How big is that? I mean, just keeping some of these recruits in-house and girls that already play for the team in-house.
Huge, and that's going to make expectations come next year. In year one, it's going to definitely make them have some big expectations, but it's going to make her transition much easier as well. True. When you have a really good team around you that's already there, now it's all about who's she going to hire as her assistants, who's she going to retain potentially as well. I'm excited to see how she rounds out the staff. And also, one of my bigger question marks is how's she going to do on the recruiting side of things? And obviously, Samantha Wagner is a big name that everyone's been talking about as far as someone that she needs to land in the 2023 class, which is a ways away. And then Miriam Dowda as well, just making sure that you're able to hang on to her because both of those girls are probably going to end up at the end of the class, probably top 5, maybe top 3 type players in their respective classes.
The heat is on.
Yeah,
the heat
definitely
is on. The pressure to win, immediate pressure to win. So outside of that, though, on the basketball side, James Kinjo, I know we've been talking about that, and obviously he's going to be a great piece. Somebody mentioned to me earlier, yesterday or last week, that Baylor could add one more piece, probably needs one more piece out of the transfer portal, especially which is mostly contingent on what Jared Butler does. What say you on that, on recruiting in basketball?
Yeah, if they lose Butler, they'll have room for one more, but I think that they're going to be really smart with it. I would love it, obviously. I'm a huge proponent of Ty Washington. I think that ship has sailed because
what
of
is
James
he doing?
Kinjo. He's May 12th is actually his announcement date.
Why so late?
Yeah, May 12th. You got to remember his process was very different than everyone else's because his offers came late and his peak interest came late. So I think he's just taking his time with his decision. I know Arizona fans are thinking they are feeling pretty good about it. Kentucky fans are feeling pretty good about it. Kansas still thinks they have a sneaky shot. And then, of course, Baylor, but it seems like he's probably going to be headed a different direction with the addition of Akinjo. And so as far as Baylor goes, I think they're probably going to wait it out a little bit and just kind of wait until they get to a point where maybe someone shows up on campus for a different school and decides, I don't want to be here, and leaves. Or something crazy happens like with Jared Butler when he was at Alabama. So you have a spot open in case something like that happens, so you can add them a little bit later. But I don't think I would be shocked if it's like a starter that they add. It's probably going to be a guy that maybe sits out a year or whatnot.
It's not Greg Brown. Greg Brown's not coming to Baylor. No. We can confirm. With that, though, also, when you talk about Ty Washington, a lot of folks be like, oh, we missed out on Ty. Do you want the 21-year-old James Akinjo who's first-team All-Pac-12, or do you want 18-year-old, never played a college basketball game, Ty Washington?
Yeah, that's the tough argument, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like that should be pretty I feel like it's rhetorical.
I think that you definitely have a safer floor with James Akinjo, and he definitely brings a ceiling as well. And I think you're basically saying we feel great about making the Sweet 16, maybe even the Final Four with him. With Ty, if he shows up and he's just not ready to play at this level, then you're looking at, okay, you could be a team that maybe gets a 3 or a 4 seed and shaky in the tournament, maybe wins a game and then loses. But I also think the upside is there. What if he has the impact that a Jalen Suggs had for Gonzaga last year?
Yeah.
And he gets you to a Final Four. Not only does he get you to a Final Four, Ty Washington would be a top 5 pick, much like Jalen Suggs, which also increases your brand from that regard. Whereas James Akinjo, I mean, he's a 3rd or 4th year guy. I mean, maybe he'll get drafted in the first round if he has a year like Jared Butler, but most likely, I mean, he's a 2nd round guy. So you got to think of it. There's multiple ways to think about it. And for Baylor, they do need successful pros. They need more of those. And so that's kind of my thought process on Ty.
Maybe he goes Kispert Timmy, Ty, and stays for 2 years.
Could.
Or not Ty, but Akinjo stays for 2 years rather than you get Ty a one and done, which I think Scott Coulter would want the 2 years over the one.
Sure.
But also, when I look at Ty Washington, do I see a Jalen Suggs? Do you see a Jalen Suggs?
I see a similar impact, but maybe not in the same way. Oh, he's a much better shooter than Jalen Suggs. Not even close.
People are so high on Ty Washington.
He's longer than Jalen Suggs. He's good. I mean, he's really good. He's not as explosive. Suggs is a very good athlete. That's probably the biggest difference in what could end up making him a 2-year guy, is that he doesn't have the 40-inch vertical. But as far as a basketball player, what he did at Geico Nationals, oh, man.
He tore that up.
And his team is good, but his team is not Sunrise Christian or Montverde.
Right.
And their only 2 losses all year were to Montverde twice, and really, they should have won the second one.
With that, too, and in basketball recruiting, where I want to camp here just for a second before we move into football, you've got the prospect Ty Washington coming in, but say that doesn't happen, which it probably won't. It looks like it probably won't. Defensively next season, does Baylor take how much, because they will, how much of a dip does Baylor take defensively without likely Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, Defensive Player of the Year, Maceo Teague, who is a stupendous, people don't give him enough credit for his defense, and Mark Vital. You lose those 4 guys, I'm more worried about defense than I am offense exponentially next season.
Yeah, I am too, and it's for a few reasons that I'll point out. So first of all, here we'll just go through the roster and make it pretty easy. James Akinjo versus Davion Mitchell, defender-wise, not even close. Davion Mitchell gets the edge there. Jared Butler versus Adam Flagler, I'm actually going to call that a push. I know Jared did a great job team defense-wise last year, but in 2019, he was not a very good defender at all, almost a liability. So I'm going to call that a push. I think Flagler can get to Butler's level in the next year or so. Matt Myers in your starting lineup, so you automatically take a dip there.
Hey!
No, you do, defensively.
Hey!
Defensively, you take a little bit of a dip, but I think Everyday John / Flo Thamba will be better next year than they were this year. And Kendall Brown, do not sleep on him as far as a defender. I think his impact defensively, they won't be the same level, but I think by the end of the year, he could be a guy where people are looking at him and going, man, he's not Mark Vital, but he's making some plays that make you think, man, he's impacting the game defensively kind of like a Mark Vital did.
Good. I know that it'll be a dip, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing that it won't be awful. Ryan says, no one's talking about Dane Danger, Jeremy Sohan. Are they solid defensively?
They're solid, but they're not. protecting the rim wise, are they better than Flo? I don't know. Flo was awfully good in the national championship protecting the rim.
Against the best team in the country.
Yeah, he's just consistency's always been his issue. And I do think Everyday John's going to take a big step up. But also, if you look at those two, they're taking up a lot of playing time. Kendall Brown and Matt Meyer are going to probably take up minutes at the 3 and 4. You got LJ Cryer off the bench as well, and Langston Love. There's just not playing time for every single player on the roster. I do think one from that group, though, Dane Danger, Jordan Turner, Zach Loveday, and Jeremy Sohan will have a role in the 8 or 9 man lineup.
Ty or Mac McClung, says this person.
Ty.
Absolutely.
Ty.
Camping out in football here for a second. I know that I've looked at some of the forum stuff, and I won't get into any of the premium content, but when it comes to bringing in somebody new on the offensive line, Baylor has to be elite, successful, remotely good offensively next season. I will say it. They've got to bring in something on the offensive line. You got to have it. Where do they go?
Yeah, so I actually think they're probably going to end up taking 2 offensive linemen. I just think it's kind of in the cards. It's what they need. And I know a lot of people have been kind of being really negative about it because obviously I post notes on tons of guys that enter the portal. If they have some Baylor interests, I'll post about them. But that doesn't necessarily mean Baylor's going all out for this guy, or it doesn't necessarily mean that Baylor thinks he's going to end up being the right fit. So Baylor is taking the time, to go through this process and make sure they land the right fits. They don't just want to take a number. They want to take someone who can actually make an impact. Obviously, I've talked about Kingsley Ugwu a ton, the Hutchinson CC JUCO prospect.
He's still out there.
He's still out there.
Okay.
And he was actually supposed to be on the timeline where he was going to make a decision relatively recently, and it just has not happened.
And he just didn't.
And apparently he's gotten a ton of interest from other schools that are maybe poking around, but he hasn't gotten any offers. And it was between basically Colorado and Baylor about a week ago, and he was ready to make a decision, but I talked to him today, and it looks like he's just pushing it back a little bit because of this excitement of conversations that he's having. So he's one to keep an eye on. I know a huge name entered the portal today. I'll have notes on him tomorrow, but I mean, he's in the portal, so I'll go ahead and talk about him right now. But so Buffalo lost their head coach.
Leopold, yeah.
Yep. Leopold is going to Kansas. Feel sorry for him, but he's going there. And Buffalo lost 4 guys off of their roster when he left. The most notable one is their center, Mike Nowitzki. So he entered the portal, 6'5", 300 pounds.
Big Mike.
Yeah, Big Mike, first team All-MAC selection as a redshirt sophomore. So he'll be a grad transfer with 2 years of eligibility left, maybe 3, depending on how that year back works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to have an opportunity to really be an impact guy. I know people didn't watch much Buffalo, but 1 sack the whole year, 287 yards rushing per game, 43.5 points per game is what he helped lead. So very good player, one that's an interesting one because he plays center. Baylor obviously has Grant Miller, Xavier Newman, but he might end up being, if he were to come to Baylor, he would probably end up being the center with maybe guard, but he can kind of play both. He's already got interest from Texas, UCLA, Purdue, Cal, Ole Miss, Syracuse. I mean, everybody's going after him. He's literally, when he entered, he became the top name in the portal in one day. So it's going to be very tough for Baylor to land him, but he's definitely one of interest. And then I also mentioned on the board, there's a little mystery one that's out there that I think there could be more that enter the portal. And I'm curious how Baylor approaches that process because obviously with spring ball ending, lots of guys are going to enter.
So with Big Mike and
Ugu.
Yeah, that's insert name here. Say both those guys go to Baylor. Is this a 9-win team?
Oh yeah.
Is that the key? That the key?
See, for me, you know what? I actually won't say it's a 9-win team because they still need a right tackle. Ugu's not starting day one. I would be shocked if he was starting day one. He's a JUCO, so I think he would come redshirt probably and then be ready for years to come. Nowitzki is a plug and play. So they would be much better on the interior, but they still need a right tackle. And again, they could take 3. They really could. They might. If they get a guy like Ugu, go get Nowitzki and then wait in the portal, try to get another one to play right tackle.
So I put a video out earlier this week that Baylor has found its quarterback. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Yeah. The way you said that was very.
What?
It was just such like a. I saw it.
I saw it.
It was just like a. I want to get your thoughts on the quarterback situation, and I referenced Gary Bohannon as being his own offensive line, and then that's going to bode well for him if there is no offensive line. What were some of your thoughts or takeaways from that little blurb?
Yeah, no, I agree actually with that point of it for sure. I mean, if Baylor doesn't have an offensive line, it's going to be really hard for you to go out there and start someone who is much more of a pocket passer. I know people want to compare, a guy like Jacob Zeno to Zach Smith. Let's be clear. He is not a statue like Zach Smith. I mean, we're talking about a guy who ran a 4.7 flat 40, fastest of anyone on the team. His issue is his agility. It's the in and out of your cuts, especially when you're in the pocket. That's something that you have to work on. And when you don't have an offensive line, it's really hard because it basically means you have to bail from the pocket a ton. And Gary's very good at that. So I definitely get that kind of part of it. I also think we're talking about two guys who are very unproven. And I know people want to say that Gary is, but Gary's really not a proven guy.
Kansas State game, 2019.
Not proven.
Wait, Gary's not proven?
Not proven.
Whoa.
No, not proven. Kansas State game, if people that don't remember that game, he threw a curl route to R.J. Sneed. R.J. Sneed stiff-armed a guy and then ran 30 yards down the sideline. That was the big play. And then he handed the ball off to John Lovett for a touchdown, which, again, he handed the ball off?
Hey, there have been Baylor quarterbacks in the past that
couldn't hand the ball off.
off.
Okay, well, my point is that's not really proven. Scoring and touchdown against UTSA when you're up 56-14, once again, a team that's not proven.
Tripping.
And then you go to Jacob Zeno, and it's the exact same way, not proven. I mean, he really hasn't had a ton of moments where he's made a ton of plays. Went in against Kansas. They ran the football. The game was a blowout. That's garbage time. The Oklahoma game, they both were in. They both played. Big game, crucial situation. And Jacob definitely outperformed Gary that day by a lot. Gary was dealing with an injury. Jacob Zeno was also a true freshman who got 0 practice reps the entire week and was asked to go out and try to win a Big 12 championship game and came dangerously close of doing it. Came one trip of Chris Platt away from doing it. So, again, not proven on either end, but I will say that in that moment, it makes you go, man, there was some talent there from both of them. They both have had flashes. You see Gary against UTSA, the stiff arms. He looks like RG3 out there running by people and spinning and getting huge gains on the ground. And you look at him against Kansas State and you go, man, he controlled the clock well. He was able to close out that game when Charlie Brewer went out. But then on the flip side, you look at Jacob and you go, man, that Oklahoma game. I mean, look at him coming in a terrible situation. Odds completely stacked against him in that situation because you only get reps for the first and second guy. The third guy's kind of an outlier, and he had to go in and try to make plays, and he did it. But again, wasn't able to get the job done at the end of the day. And fast forward, now we're in spring ball. They're competing. It's a lot of fun. I think it's going to come down to one of those two for sure. I've been saying that for a while. I know people love Shapen, love him as kind of a storyline, but it's between these two, and it's going to be. And I think there's a situation where both could play. And that wouldn't shock me either. Now, everyone asks me, who do you think is going to be? I do still think it's going to be Jacob Zeno. I think consistently throughout the spring, he was the guy. Until the very end, Gary had a nice run late, which is awesome. But where was it the rest of the other 14 practices? And so I think that's another big part of it. But, hey, Baylor's in good hands. I think both can win a lot of games at Baylor and really have solid careers. And I think it's just going to be fun to see someone other than Charlie Brewer out there for the first time in, 4 years?
Yeah, he's the number 28 rated quarterback in the country going into next season.
Where are Gary and Jacob?
They're not. They're not. It's the top 50, and they don't exist.
Oh, okay.
LSU and Baylor have one thing in common. It's not having a quarterback in the top 50.
Wow.
I'm not surprised. Are you surprised? Top 50?
Yeah, Miles Brennan. He's all right. Yeah,
but are you surprised about
50.
Baylor?
No.
Well, I did not expect to open that list and see Baylor anywhere on there.
I was thinking it was maybe a top, 150 or something.
Yeah,
Baylor could sneak on there. 120,
maybe. Yeah. Just unproven, like you said, unproven. So that's it. That's the big board.
That's the big board?
That's it? I know.
That's all we're doing?
I know. Well, the
sad.
show's running. You know, they made a hire at women's basketball today.
I heard that's taking all the headlines.
Has just been a lot. There's been a lot going on today, but thank you for your football perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to make you stay here and play Celebrity Birthdays
Let's
with
do
us
it.
in this day in sports history. Armstrong Celebrity Birthdays and this day in sports history. Cue the music, if you will, please. I think we're going to start doing music with this.
We don't have music.
Yeah, the other music you used earlier, I really like.
Yeah, we can use that.
Okay, sweet. Nice. Oh, it's there. It's there. Celebrity birthday number 1. Noah Beck. TikTok star Noah Beck. Grayson.
Ooh. I don't even know him. I'm going to go 23.
23.
13.
20. He's 20 today. Big 20th birthday to the Beck family. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn would have been how old today?
95.
Okay.
82.
92. Rex Orange County. Love Rex Orange County. How old? Rex Orange County. He is a pop singer.
Oh.
Never heard of him.
Never heard.
Very good.
I'll say 55.
55.
Yeah, I'm going to go 40.
23 today, Rex Orange County. Happy 23rd birthday.
Who is this?
First name Rex Orange?
Yeah, last name County. I think his middle name is Orange.
T-Rex? Is this T-Rex?
Nobody has a birthday today. Catherine Jackson is 91 today. She is a family member of somebody. Jackie Jackson, who was in our Dead or Alive today. It's actually his birthday. How old's Jackie Jackson, the oldest member of the Jackson 5?
Oh, 75.
75.
80.
70. I said it earlier on the show. This guy.
I was not paying attention.
Victor Oladipo.
I locked it in my memory. How Jackie Jackson.
He is 27.
28.
29.
Dang it.
Will Arnett. Actor Will Arnett.
Yeah.
Ooh, 35.
35.
I don't know him.
48.
51. And Randy Travis, still kicking after that stroke. Randy Travis is how old today? Deeper than the holler.
61.
Than the river.
72.
62. That's so sad.
Really?
He would still be a pop icon. This day in sports history, Cincinnati Red Stockings played their first official baseball game, a win against Great Western Baseball Club, 45-9.
I'm going to go 1871.
No.
1840.
1869. Nice. And Mexican boxer Canelo Alvarez unifies a trio of middleweight world titles in a close, unanimous decision over Daniel Jacobs at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada.
2015.
2019. Oh, you know what that means. Gosh dang it.
Later, guys.
I'm Drake Toll. That's Grayson Grunhaver, Armstrong Sims. When we come back tomorrow, we've got a full list of guests, and we're going to open up another mailbag and talk to you guys about what you think about, well, Nicki Collen, the new Baylor women's basketball coach who will be announced at 2:30 tomorrow in the opening press conference. As I said, and I'll say it always, I'll say it until I die. I'm Drake Toll. I will say that until I die. I'm Drake Toll. That's Grayson Grunhaver, and that's Armstrong Sims. Jack McKenzie's also in studio with us today. When we come back, it'll be 11 o'clock. You can dream it. You can be it. Don't do it if you don't do it. I'm Drake Toll. That's Grayson Grunhaver. That's Armstrong Sims. And that's Jack McKenzie. And this has been, as it always is, Up Tempo.